Out all of it. We'll take your thoughts at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you doing? I think we're still trying to get Rexrode connected in here, so we'll see what happens on that front. The Predators last night, they fall 2-0 at the hands of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it was a game where, quite frankly, the first, I would say, 29 minutes or so, it was pretty even, back and forth. You know, the Saros made some big saves in the first period, made some big saves throughout the game. He ended up with 43 of them last night. But the first 29 minutes, I thought the game was pretty even. And then all of a sudden, Pittsburgh started to tilt the ice, and things looked a little bit different. A whole lot of play in the Predators' defensive zone. And then finally, Jason Zucker finishes things off at 14-15 mark of the second period. And then Jay Gensel adds another one in the third period as well, and the Penguins win 2-0 last night. So the Predators, obviously, if you can't score, not going to give yourself a pretty good chance to win the game. And it's just one of those games where I thought it was a classic example of a younger lineup taking on an experienced team. And William Mace brought this up on the broadcast a few times last night of how each individual member of the top six of the Pittsburgh Penguins last night all have played more combined NHL games than the entire Predators top six. Each individual member of the Pittsburgh Penguins top six. That was a wild stat that they threw out there last night. And look, I actually thought for the most part they did a decent job of hanging with Crosby, and they contained Malkin for the most part last night, and Saros was just unbelievable. There was 3 or 4 saves Saros made last night that were just incredible, and a few more that a lot of NHL goaltenders would have struggled with. He was once again on his A game last night, and really the only reason they were in the game. But a tough one for the Preds last night as they fall 2-0 to Pittsburgh. And we talked about the opportunity in front of the Predators. You were 3 points back of the Winnipeg Jets, and if you could win that one last night, you'd pull within 1 point of the Jets and still have one game in hand. They weren't able to do it. Preds running out of time here with only 8 games left in the regular season, and Winnipeg is in action tonight. So the Winnipeg Jets will take on Detroit tonight. Detroit played last night, and they got a big last-second win against Carolina. So Detroit's played well. They beat Pittsburgh on Tuesday. They beat Carolina last night, and then they're going to go on the second half of back-to-back, have to travel to Winnipeg tonight. So this will be a tough one for the Red Wings, and that is should be advantage Winnipeg as they're at home, and they're taking on a team that played last night. But we'll see if Winnipeg can take care of that. So bottom line is Predators with an opportunity last night that they're not able to capitalize on. They fall 2-0, and now still remain 3 points back of the Winnipeg Jets with one game in hand on Winnipeg. Philip Tomasino had a breakaway opportunity last night. Kiefer Sherwood had a good look last night. Tommy Novak had a good look last night. They just weren't able to finish on him, and they didn't get much sustained offensive zone pressure last night, and when they did, you had those opportunities, and they just weren't able to convert on those opportunities. So, when you have limited offensive opportunities the way that the Predators did last night, once you get them, you got to find a way to convert. And look, Philip Tomasino, to his credit, he is – I think he's playing pretty well for the most part, and he is creating opportunities, and he has a knack of finding a way to get behind the defense and create some of these breakaways. He's got to find a way to finish on some of these. He had a great look last night, just all by himself coming in. He tried to wait out Tristan Jarry, and it couldn't work, didn't work, and he just kind of waited too long, and Jarry hung with him last night. So a couple of good looks for the Predators, but they were not able to convert offensively. And now, if you're the Predators, you're looking at your schedule. You've got St. Louis coming up on Saturday at home at 12 o'clock, then on the road next week against Dallas on Monday. And next week is an absolute gauntlet of a week for the Predators. You're on the road at Dallas. You got Vegas at home, Carolina at home, and then Winnipeg on the road all next week. So you're talking about 3 playoff teams for sure in Dallas, Vegas, and Carolina, and Winnipeg, the team that you're chasing down that currently is in the playoffs at this point. So that's a heck of a week next week for the Predators. Probably need to take care of business on Saturday against St. Louis to make sure that you've got that game in hand there that you can take advantage of. But it's one of those things that it's just it's a heck of a week for the Predators that they've got to get at their disposal next week. So we'll see what happens on that front. I mean, I thought last night Evangelista had a couple of good chances, made a great move. There was a nice passing play between him and Tommy Novak that he was able to just kind of move back and forth, and a nice deke from Luke Evangelista last night, but not much happening in the way of offense last night for the Nashville Predators. And really that's the story right now. We've talked about it. They've basically been at 2 goals a game, and that's basically where they've been of the Predators the last basically 3 weeks ever since some of these injuries have taken place. And it's hard to win that way, and especially when you can't get any offense mustered up like last night. Roman Josi did not play last night, so we did wonder if last night could be the night that Roman Josi returned to the lineup. He was skating yesterday morning, according to a couple of reports, but did not play last night in the game. So maybe that means that he's good to go on Saturday. We'll see what happens. He's obviously close. He's been skating. He was on the trip. David Poyle told us the other day that he was the one that had a chance to play this week of all the injured guys, and everybody else was going to be at least another week away. So we'll see what happens on that front. But Josi did not play last night. Maybe he'll be in there coming up on Saturday against St. Louis. But that's a tough one for the Predators last night. We talk about the games in hand. The games in hand are about to evaporate for the Predators just because they got a whole lot of games coming up. They play Saturday and then 4 next week, including starting tomorrow, 3 games in 4 days. St. Louis Saturday, Dallas on the road Monday, Vegas at home Tuesday. So a 3-4 stretch there against some pretty good teams during that way. And then you end the season with Calgary, Minnesota, and Colorado. So the Predators have reached the point of their schedule where St. Louis, looking at it right now, is the only team that they've got left that's not in playoff contention, and that is coming up tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. Other than that, every other team that they're playing is at least in contention, including Calgary a week from Monday coming up on the road. So they'll go at Winnipeg next Saturday, at Calgary next Monday, and the hope is, if you're a Predators fan, is that they're close enough with the points that those games actually mean something when things come around. Do we have our great and powerful partner, Joe Rexrode, here on the program?
Nope, now the Zoom is muted. What a morning.
Yeah, sorry, that was me. But yeah, this may have to be me talking in the bottom of a closet, I guess, because whenever I try to do this fancy microphone, it's not working. So
there we go. Well, we at least got Rexrode back on the program here. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We're off and running here today on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts. 615-737-1025. The Predators lose last night in Pittsburgh, and yesterday was NFL Pro Day as well. So Florida in action at Pro Day yesterday, the Tennessee Pro Day in which Mike Vrabel was there. Lots of Pro Days that were highlighted yesterday, including TCU, Quentin Johnston at Pro Day yesterday with kind of an up-and-down day as well. He's a receiver target that the Titans could have as well. We're going to get into all the different Pro Days and the reaction to all that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
We are your home for every big pass.
Kevin Harvick takes over the race lead.
Big wreck.
Trouble turn 2. One car is around and hard into the outside wall.
And big win.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won the Daytona 500.
Yeah! Woo!
Catch every lap of NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Preds fans, Superbook wants to send one lucky fan a pair of tickets on the ice. Text the keyword Superbook, all one word, to 615-737-1025 for entry to win.
Gary Ashton here. People walk up to me all the time and say, "Don't sell without the intel." This message couldn't be more true. Right now is a fantastic time to buy or sell your home in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. No one has more intel than the Gary Ashton team. So what is this intel we keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without stagings or showings? Intel on where to find your next home so that you can sell your current home while the market is hot? And intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity. For more intel, visit GaryAshton.com, where we can give you the insight and the most up-to-date real estate intel in Nashville. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate team of the Nashville Predators. Get the confidence to sell your home and find the dream address without the stress. Visit us today at GaryAshton.com That's GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
We do screen printing.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do embroidery.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do large format printing.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do promotional goods.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do graphic design.
Music City Screen Prints.
mcscreenprints.com. That's mcscreenprints with an S.com. 615-866-6010.
You think it, we print it.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $37.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wait, aren't these all charitable donations?
At Magda's Tax Prep, every person counts.
I'd rather not have to file for an extension.
She needs new auditors to maximize returns on her family time.
On itemized deductions. Hey, can someone help with these 1099s?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join 102.5 The Game for the 2nd annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament, benefiting Souls for Souls, coming up on June the 7th at Hermitage Golf Course. You can put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebs to support a great cause and have loads of fun. Plus, you'll have the chance to win awesome prizes as well. You can sign up to play, sponsor, or donate at thegamenashville.com/golf. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live here on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Yesterday, some different pro days around the college football landscape. Florida with their pro day yesterday, obviously highlighted by Anthony Richardson. Joe, I did not see Cam Newton in attendance, so maybe a missed opportunity for Cam Newton yesterday.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
It really is too bad. It's one of those things where 35 throws or whatever he did at Auburn just may not be enough. He's got to go down there to Florida. But nothing from Cam Newton yesterday. Tennessee had their pro day yesterday, and some nice photos of Mike Vrabel coming out yesterday, coaching up Darnell Wright out there. So interesting stuff there. We'll get into that a little bit later here in the show. TCU with their pro day yesterday too. So Max Duggan slinging the ball all over the place. Quentin Johnston running the 3-cone drill, and Quentin Johnston apparently having a little bit of an up and down day, dropping some passes out there too. So we know that when anytime somebody drops a pass in the pro day, it's a big deal out there. These people really react to it.
Yeah, I mean, that might drop him a couple rounds in the draft. Who knows?
Very well might.
Apparently, he wasn't the only one. Apparently, it was a drop fest for Max Duggan or Dugan. I'll never know what his name actually is. Yeah, I guess so. I'm trying to think where Max Duggan or Dugan will go in the draft. Probably pretty low anyway. But, maybe sneak in there.
Oh, and also Hendon Hooker was throwing the ball around a little bit yesterday. Now, not really in anything that was an actual drill for Tennessee yesterday, but Hendon Hooker talked about his knee. He talked about meeting with the surgeon, and everything is still ahead of schedule at this point in his rehab, and he's scheduled to be ready by training camp. He did throw the ball around a little bit out there yesterday, but again, nothing that's really that big of a deal in terms of drills that way. But he said, quote, "I'm just trying to get as healthy as possible. That'll help me longevity-wise. I just want to come in, be a sponge, and learn as much as I can from everyone in the building," talking about being drafted this year. So good to see Hendon Hooker out there doing something at Tennessee Pro Day yesterday. And like I said, Joe, right now he is on track to be ready by the time training camp rolls around, and according to him, still ahead of schedule in his injury recovery.
Yep, that's good. And hopefully it just means that he's able to be active while, sitting out as a rookie, ideally, wherever that may be. Maybe in Nashville, who knows?
Yeah, could be. And obviously the story of the day throughout the league yesterday was Anthony Richardson at Florida. So we know that Rand Carthon was down there in Florida for Anthony Richardson and his pro day. Joe, no surprise. I'm looking at all the reports that Anthony Richardson had at the pro day, and I saw some of the highlights. It was really good. I mean, he threw one across his body like 67 yards and had a nice somersault / backflip after it was all done. The athleticism on display again. I don't know that we necessarily learned anything new about Anthony Richardson yesterday at his pro day. I think we know that he's pretty athletic and that he's got some good arm talent and all those things. But certainly, and we've talked about this before, really the goal of the pro day is to highlight your strengths and not screw it up and hurt yourself. And Anthony Richardson certainly did that yesterday and made some good impressions yesterday. So the Anthony Richardson part of this, I don't know that my opinion or anybody's opinion really changes based off the pro day beyond the interview part of it, but certainly he was impressive yesterday in his pro day.
Yeah, I just want to know if the throw that hit the roof of the indoor was going to be accurate.
Yeah, we'll never know.
I mean that's a lot of air under a ball. I'd like to know if that was actually gonna on a good trajectory. But
you think he did that on purpose?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I like it.
Watch this. I'm going to bounce this off the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a guy who was going to dominate the combine. He did. He was going to look good at his pro day. He did. Everything measures out great. So it's just it's a question of whether you think he can consistently play the game well or can he eventually? I mean, I don't think anybody thinks that next year he'd be coming in and instantly, being a good quarterback in the NFL. But if you believe he can get there, I mean, he has ridiculous physical gifts.
Chuck on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, can you really put any kind of weight on pro days, guys, or pro day guys, running routes against no one, quarterbacks throwing against air? It's a good question, Chuck. I mean, I guess what I would say to that is there's not much that you could put on it. Sometimes people do, and we brought up the Zach Wilson example of that last week. But really, I mean, I guess the stock you put into it, Joe, is if things don't go well, because it's an environment that is essentially created for these players to be the best versions of themselves and for it to go well. And if it doesn't, then I guess maybe you put some stock into that.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to do the drills. I mean, the 40 times matter. I mean, it's good. Like Jackson Smith and Jigba last week helped himself by running a good 40 at his pro day. And part of that is the hamstring actually healed? Like, as he threw that, as he passed that, so, I mean, there are things at pro days that can help you with the drills and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just like with the Rand Carthon story we were talking about yesterday. I mean, for him, and I'm sure he's not alone, it's seeing these guys interacting with their teammates, seeing these guys interact with their coaches, talking to as many people as possible while you're there and talking to them. I think that stuff probably ends up mattering more, especially for guys who already worked out at the combine, and most of them already did. Most of them that you would be interested in already did.
Craig on the text line says, is Cedric Tillman a guy that would make it to the Titans for a second-round pick? This is from Craig on the text line. I will say, Joe, Tillman is a really interesting guy to me. Obviously, he barely played last year, dealing with the injuries that he dealt with, and he came back for the Georgia game, and really after that, I mean, he was out again. So not much happening from Cedric Tillman in his senior season a year ago. But, I mean, look, we saw what he did his junior year. By the time that season ended, I thought in the first half of the Music City Bowl game that he was about to score 9 touchdowns against Purdue. The guy he's really good. And, he doesn't have the speed that Jalen Hyatt brings to the table. But Cedric Tillman, I think, is pretty good. And he's an interesting case to me in this draft. I'm really interested to see where he goes. Wes Rucker, our buddy yesterday, tweeted something out to the effect of, everybody keeps kind of sleeping on Cedric Tillman, but I kind of think the way that I've always thought, and he's a really good player, and somebody's going to get a good player at him in the draft. I don't know exactly where he's going to go, but Cedric Tillman is pretty intriguing to me if I'm the Titans.
Well, I
I could make the case that Cedric Tillman will be a better pro than Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I believe that, but I mean, you make that case, and yeah, I do think people are sleeping on him. So, and I didn't see how he ran. If he did run yesterday, that's important. I mean, if he runs a decent to good 40 time with the physicality and the route running and everything that he does well, man, I guess he's probably a second rounder somewhere. So yeah, I mean, I think the Titans could be in the mix for him. Someone's going to get a good football player with him.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know, I think he's healthy now finally over the ankle, which, I mean, you think back to when that happened. I mean, that was, you had to go get the tightrope surgery, which we talked a lot about the tightrope surgery and everything that goes on to that, and just was never really right again his senior year. So if he's healthy, I mean, he's a really good player. And look, he's not, like I said, he's not Jalen Hyatt. He can still run pretty well. I need to go find exactly what his 40 time was yesterday, but it's not like he's, you know, running in quicksand out there. He can move.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. He's a very intriguing prospect for sure. And yeah, it would be totally different. I mean, that's definitely example of a guy who production would be different, and conversation around him, I think, would be a lot more active. Had he, you know, just been healthy this year and taken part in that offense, he would have, you know, a lot of the plays that, you know, Ramel Keaton made, you know, down the stretch, and you know, he would have made a lot. And he probably would have taken some of the plays that Jalen Hyatt made too, because obviously Hendon Hooker had a great connection with Tillman before he went down.
LD from McMinnville on the text line says, your thoughts on the reports of Will Levis not interviewing well, coming off a little too boastful or proud of himself. This is from LD from McMinnville on the text line. And Joe, we got into this a little bit yesterday, and we talked with Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports about this as well. The draft time, combine, whatever you want to call it, interviews are always pretty interesting in terms of what that exactly means for the players. I mean, he brought up Kayvon Thibodeau yesterday, apparently taking some snacks away from folks, which was a great story that Charles threw out there yesterday.
God.
Didn't end up totally mattering all that much when Thibodeau got on the field. I think he's going to be pretty good. But what do you make of the story and the narrative around Will Levis right now?
Yeah, I'm holding off on making a huge deal out of it. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what Charles said too. You know, let's see. Is it because sometimes, I mean, seriously, sometimes one team will float something that wants a player, you know, about them. And it's just totally misinformation. And that definitely happens. I need to know now. I need to believe that a team that was going to pick Thibodeau didn't pick him because he took some Cheez-Its. I really need this to. Like, okay, so where'd he go? He went 5th last year.
Yeah,
is that right? Okay, you know, I need this to be the Lions. I need this to be the Lions.
The Jags. They could have taken him number 1 overall. They didn't do it.
And I like Trayvon Walker.
I do too.
But Thibodeau, yeah, I mean, basically the Jags or Lions, based on who they did take. And Hutchinson was very good.
Yeah.
But, you know, I need Thibodeau to become the all-time greatest pass rusher of all time, and I need that story to be the Lions.
The 30 for 30 on
that's
either.
Absolutely perfect.
The Lions or the Jags, like, well, we were going to take him, but he was eyeballing my Chips Ahoy in the snack bowl over there, and I couldn't get over it. We had to let him go.
Dan Campbell's like, he took my little chocolate coffee beans. I am steaming mad. Oh God, that's amazing. But yeah, so take that to this. I mean, let's wait and see. I can't believe that he's just going in here and just sabotaging himself with silly, cocky. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen or couldn't happen, but I'm a little bit skeptical at this point.
Yeah, like it feels like Charles, I think, put it well yesterday. There's always like the slide guy when it comes to the quarterbacks in the draft, and look, all it takes is one. So we could be talking about Will Levis sliding in the draft, heading into the draft, and then somebody loves him and they pull up to pick number 6 or whatever it is, and like, yep, good, we'll take Will Levis there. So you never really know how it's going to play out that way, but he does seem to be the guy that everybody's kind of honing in on right now as the guy that could fall a little bit. Now, it's interesting because like this time a week ago, a lot of people around the league were like, Will Levis, if he's there, the Titans were at the Pro Day in Kentucky. If he's there at 11, maybe the Titans could take him. And now it seems like some of the conversation around the league is that Anthony Richardson, if he's there at 11, maybe the Titans could take him. So we've gone in a week from a lot of people league-wide speculating that the Titans could be in on Will Levis to now Anthony Richardson is the sexy pick for the Titans.
Yeah, and of that, I have no idea. Maybe Levis really is going to slide. I don't know. But I just, the more I look at this and think about different teams who need a quarterback, I just don't think Richardson will be there at 11. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
I don't either. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. There was another Tennessee volunteer on the field at Pro Day yesterday that has me wondering and has me intrigued about whether or not the Tennessee Titans could actually consider him. We'll get into all that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He risks one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is... Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game. Right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tournament coming right down to it, folks, and no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Joe102. Sign up today, claim that no sweat first bet. You can wager on everything from a money line, point spreads. You can bet on the national champion right now. There's 4 teams available for it. I think UConn will be that team. I think it's UConn, San Diego State. You look at my bracket, you may have some hesitation in listening to my advice. Just make sure you're doing this on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use, which is a big deal for me. Don't miss your shot at that no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Join FanDuel today. FanDuel.com/Joe102 to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You must be 21 or older, present in Tennessee. First online minimum wager, only $10 deposit required. Refund issued is now a double. Bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
Spring in and style up with huge savings on top athletic brands at your Dick's Sporting Goods warehouse sales store in Franklin. Stay active this spring with up to 70% off the athletic styles you love. Shop deals on thousands of styles from top athletic apparel and footwear brands, like $10 tees, tanks, and shorts for the family, $20 swimwear, $20 golf polos, and running footwear for $60 or less. Find incredible deals and incredible style at your Dick's Sporting Goods warehouse sales store in Franklin at Watson Glen.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Social Furniture's Spring Home Makeover Sales event is going on now with the latest styles and colors in stock, ready for immediate delivery and setup. If you don't need a fancy schmancy showroom or the stress of a high-pressure sales team, but you don't want to pay high-quality prices, come to Social Furniture. All top-quality furniture and mattresses are on sale now. Don't miss this extreme home makeover sales event that's going on now at Social Furniture.
I shop at Social Furniture because of the way I'm treated.
That's Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue.
O'Reilly Auto Parts provides more than just the right parts for your repair. Our professional parts people can also offer free check engine light diagnosis. We can scan your vehicle and provide a list of possible fixes. Find the right parts for you or recommend a great local repair shop. Don't ignore your check engine light. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
when you want live and local.
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years?
The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Friday morning. We'll have Call Your Shot Friday coming up here at 6:45, so go ahead and get your called shots in for this weekend. Got some tournament action, the Preds in action, any way you want to take it. 615-737-1025 on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe, we brought up Tennessee's Pro Day yesterday. Obviously, lots of intriguing guys. You've got, Byron Young out there on the defensive side of the ball. Jalen Hyatt running routes yesterday. Cedric Tillman, who we've talked about. Hendon Hooker moving around a little bit yesterday. But the guy that I think is going to go before all those guys is Darnell Wright. And he was out working yesterday, and Vrabel was there, and there were some nice videos and photos coming out of Vrabel doing what he does and getting in there and coaching Darnell Wright up as he's running through some of the drills out there. And Joe, right tackle is not really a position that we've talked about a whole lot in terms of things we expect from the Tennessee Titans, because obviously there has been a hole at left tackle, and you've got to figure out the guard position at left guard, all these different things that still are yet to be determined by the Titans. But I do wonder, like, if the Titans look at Darnell Wright or any right tackle and they say, I think he might be pretty good, and I think it could be a right tackle that we've got for 6, 7, 8 years down the line from now, what do you think the chances are that they could go that way? Like, could they say, you know what, we've got Andre Dillard, let's let him try to be the left tackle. That's our plan at left tackle. We've got Darnell Wright that we really love, and we think he could be a starting Pro Bowl quality right tackle in the league for a long time. I mean, Louis Riddick said he's going to be a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro in his first year, and he's the best player in the draft. So maybe they share the Louis Riddick opinion on Darnell Wright, and they say, you know what, that's our guy. Let's go get him. He's the right tackle. And Nicholas Petit-Frere becomes the swing tackle or the backup or whatever you want to call it after that. What do you make of the Darnell Wright part of this, and do you think there's a chance that the Tennessee Titans could be interested and go that way at right tackle, even though that's something we've not talked a whole lot about?
I'd give it a chance, but the problem with that is, even if he is what you think and what Louis Riddick thinks, or 75% of what Louis Riddick thinks would be pretty great, you could end up with, okay, solidified at right tackle, but then like two, non-starters at left tackle.
Yep.
You could end up not great at left tackle, and man, you can't. To me, you have to be strong there. I mean, part of the answer to that question is, if you actually believe that Nicholas Petit-Frere is better as a left tackle, okay, well, then that changes things. Then between him and Dillard, competition, and maybe maybe Dillard bumps inside to left guard even. I mean, that's possible. Like, if you believe that Petit-Frere is better there and that's his NFL position, then I could see it. But if you don't, then, and I know it's a different GM, but you're still talking about following up a third-round pick of a right tackle with a first-round pick of a right tackle.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of right tackle.
Well, it's following up a second-round pick at right tackle, and then a third-round pick at right tackle, and then a first-round pick at right tackle. After a first-round pick at right tackle,
which actually followed up
which
followed up a first-round pick at right tackle. Yeah,
it's
which
an
just
annual
a few years
Titans
after
tradition of just drafting
first-round picks. Yeah, like if they took Darnell Wright, then I bet you that it would have to be like, we'd have to do the research on NFL history. How many, like, first round in 2016, first round in 20, second round in 21, third round in 22, first round in 23, all right tackles? That has to be a record.
There's
that would
no
have to be
way.
an NFL record.
You're right. There's no way anybody else has ever done that.
So, hey, look, if Darnell Wright is, if you're though convinced like he is great, like he's a Pro Bowler, I mean, like that spot is going to be locked up, and he's going to get a second deal here. And that's the thing. If you have that, it's just like with quarterbacks. Just take oh yeah, I guess. Whoa, the quarterback's available. Okay, sure. I mean, it's because you have the conviction that the quarterback is your guy, is going to be great. Well, if you have that conviction about Darnell Wright, but I still I think even if you do, you also have to have the belief that Petit Frere is better on the left side, right?
I would think so. The other side of that is, what if you just don't know about Petit Frere, and you're like, yeah, he wasn't that great last year. I don't know how good he's going to be, but I just feel awesome. Like, I feel great that Darnell Wright's the right tackle, and he's going to be the right tackle for years to come. Like if Darnell Wright, you're looking at it, and you've got him rated as the best player on your board once 11 comes around, do you have to go that way? Now, I guess the other part of that, and this is where I think the logic on that kind of goes out the door. Like, I still think there could be, a Paris Johnson Jr. or a Skoronski or whoever it is that's available there for you at 11. And if it's remotely close between a Paris Johnson Jr. and a Darnell Wright in terms of your evaluation of those players, like, don't you have to go left tackle at that point?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think so for sure. It's interesting because obviously you could look at that and say, well, Petit Frere beat out Paris Johnson for left tackle. Now, the difference, though, is that Paris Johnson was a true sophomore. So it was only his second year out of high school. And, so Petit Frere, at least a couple years older than him, even though it's just a 1-year difference in draft year, because Paris Johnson is a ridiculous talent,
right.
And he is. I mean, he's I think, he's clearly he's a better prospect coming out than Petit Frere. Wasn't you're talking about a guy who could easily be a top 10 pick as opposed to a guy who went in the third round. So it's a little bit misleading, that he beat him out. But yeah, look, if it's close, and then to me it's like, and I know it's like, in this league, who knows? They could end up with a long-term left-handed quarterback. You don't know. Are any of these guys next year left-handed quarterbacks?
Penix.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I'm not a huge believer in Penix, but as a pro, but yeah. So, right tackle is still incredibly important. Tell you what, if they do set the NFL record for draft capital used on right tackles, they better run right a lot.
It's just, Derek, you're going right every play, man.
Yeah,
we're just turning around, handing this thing off.
Yeah, you gotta back up the investment if you do that.
Yeah, they could be loaded on that right side. But look. First off, Darnell Wright, I think it's pretty clear that he's made himself a lot of money. We've talked about that. Now, one thing that I would not put a whole lot of stock into, which I saw a couple of people on the Twitterverse doing yesterday, of like Vrabel's really coaching up Darnell Wright. Like, maybe that's letting us know that he's their guy. Like that's who they want, is Darnell Wright. And I was like, well, Vrabel coaches up everybody. Like, that's what Vrabel does. So I wouldn't read too much into Vrabel being involved with the drills yesterday and coaching up Darnell Wright. That's what he does.
Yeah, I would agree. He's coached up many guys at these things who ended up on different teams. One thing
he was coaching up Jerome Carvin too, who is not. I don't think they're going. Carvin's coming back to Tennessee, isn't he?
Maybe though that's the left guard of the future.
Maybe so.
You've got your hint. Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting thing too. I had no idea about this, but apparently, like when last week when Paris Johnson went through all these drills, they did like the Ohio State coaches, but then they had a couple NFL guys and took him and did some other ones. Him and the center for Ohio State, who's going to go somewhere in the draft, but well, I had no idea. Rand Carthon told me this. Apparently, like the Jags O-line coach just does this for everybody. Like if they're like at the big pro day is when they're like all there. It's like the Jags O-line coach. Why this is, I don't know.
Really?
But there you go. Fun little fact for you. Advantage that? Jaguars.
Jaguars just coaching up everybody in
guess,
the NFL.
Yeah.
Think about that conversation a year ago. That'd been probably not good.
Yeah, that's a thing. What I need to know is like, was this the case in Urban's 10 minutes in the league too? I don't know.
Gosh, I hope not. Look, that's the one part about this offseason on the offensive line that is still really interesting to me beyond, we can talk about, like, is Andre Dillard going to be good at left tackle, all that stuff. It's how do they really feel about Petit Frere? Like, that's what I would love to know because, he was a rookie last year. I thought he had his moments where he looked okay, but, like, maybe Vrabel's like, yeah, I just don't know, man. I don't know if he's going to be a good right tackle, or maybe he does feel better about him being on the left side. Vrabel did say earlier this offseason they could have 5 new offensive linemen. Now, that's Vrabel just talking. I get all that. But the Nicholas Petit Frere part of this is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. It's like, let's say they were to take a Darnell, right? You could still interpret that different ways. You could interpret that like, oh, man, they're down on Petit Frere. Petit Frere, you're the swing guy and third-round swing guy. Just provide depth. Or it could be, you know what, Petit Frere is better on the left side. He's legit. And actually, Dillard, now they have said now, I know Vrabel this week talked about, he was asked specifically, and, he confirmed that Dillard is starting at left tackle, right? He's going to compete there.
He's going to compete, yeah.
Yeah, so, it sounded like they hope he's the starting left tackle, So that's probably how I would take it, is they're down on Petit Frere. But, yeah, if they were to draft a strict left tackle like Paris Johnson Jr., then that tells me Petit Frere is their long-term plan on the other side.
615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it's time for Call Your Shot Friday here on Robby and Rexrode. We need your bold predictions in the world of sports. Hit them up on our text line, 615-737-1025. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185! Take!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knesvik here for Superbook Sports, and baseball is back. The push for the postseason is on for hockey and hoops. Make it all count this spring with Superbook Sports. We got some Final Four matchups coming up tonight. We start with women's basketball, South Carolina and Iowa. I think South Carolina gets it done, but I think Iowa covers that spread. On the other side, we got LSU and Virginia Tech. I'm taking LSU, and I think we could have a full SEC women's final. And on the men's side, tomorrow, we've got Miami and UConn. I'm taking Miami to cover that 5.5-point spread. Superbook Sports is the best wagering app around, the direct line to experienced bookmakers behind the counter in Las Vegas. Plus, get a $250 bonus when you sign up, deposit, and wager all on the same day. Don't let the spring pass you by without winning money with Superbook. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards. Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. It looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We can get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we can take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Finally, baseball is back. Swing into the season with tickets to the action. Plus, with basketball and hockey heating up, now is a great time to experience a game. Vivid Seats is proud to be the official ticketing partner of ESPN. From on the glass to in the stands, Vivid Seats has great ticket prices to all the games. Every crack of the bat, every dribble down the court. Catch it all with Vivid Seats. Download the app or visit vividseats.com today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live.
A show that lives and breathes sports.
Focus in, focus in, focus in.
From the SEC.
Credit to the Alabamas, the Georgias, and the Ohio States of the world.
To the Preds.
They've been in a lot of really tight games, but they're not winning enough of them.
To the Titans.
He's talking about what this franchise has built over the years.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
What is this? Check it out.
Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The sports weekend has arrived. You know what that means.
Shoot your shot.
It's time for Call Your Shot Friday with Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the week, time for Call Your Shot Friday here on Robby and Rexrode. As always, we need your participation, your bold predictions in the world of sports. Hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, how did we do last week in Call Your Shot Friday?
Well, let's see here. Michelle, Marquise Noel will have 18 or more assists. Did not quite hit that. Had another good game. K-State will win it all. That would have been fun. Didn't happen. It would have been fun. By this time next week, so I guess now, Lamar Jackson will not be a Raven. I think Lamar Jackson will be a Raven for better or for worse moving forward. And another K-State. You were all over K-State. K-State will beat FAU by at least 10 points. FAU, man. FAU must have heard your called shots.
Well,
and
I hope I could be some motivation for them.
The Mighty Owls.
The Owls. Now, how about Robby? San Diego State beats Alabama. My goodness. Ding, ding, ding on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well done. FAU beats K-State. My
ding,
goodness.
Ding, ding.
Have some.
Look at you with these called shots. Connor McDavid will finish with 71 goals.
I don't think he's going to get there. He's got 61. They got like 6 games left.
Yeah, you never know.
Never underestimate that man. A couple hat tricks in there.
That's true.
That's right. Just throw in a couple hat tricks. And then Cal Foote will get his first goal.
Yikes.
Yeah. For me, I did the trade for Mike Evans. So I got that long term. I got UConn, and I'm also on K-State. K-State double-digit wins. Did UConn, I don't think they ended up winning by double digits. They had this huge comeback. It
was like 88-81 or something like that.
Yeah. Or not huge comeback. I'm thinking of Miami. Was it okay? It wasn't. No.
No,
Yeah,
they
won
beat Gonzaga by like 30.
No, they killed. Yeah. Okay,
I'm
so I got
thinking Miami too.
Yeah, I got half of that. I said San Diego State. I was weak. I said San Diego State within 5 of Alabama. I mean, maybe I could have just. And then I had Princeton with a last-second 3 to win. So I picked the wrong Cinderella. So there you go.
There we go. Michelle Knezvik, would you like to kick us off with today's edition of Call Your Shot Friday?
Caitlin Clark in Iowa will upset South Carolina tonight. That is a called shot. And then
I knew that we were both going to have that one.
Is that yours too? Wow, we are just on.
Do either one of you actually believe that?
I want to.
Yeah, I think it could happen. Yeah, I think it could happen.
And sticking with that, Caitlin Clark will have a 30-point triple-double. It's not quite the 40, but the 30-point triple-double. She has been absolutely incredible this entire tournament long. And then on the other side for women's, I've got LSU going to the championship and Iowa winning it all. So you can just put that in there.
The Hawkeyes.
And then on the men's side, listen, I have not picked them. I've disrespected them. FAU winning it all. I think Robby might already have that as a called shot.
I don't know if I have to call a shot, but I may now.
And third, this is kind of a long-term one. Anthony Richardson will be a Tennessee Titan.
Wow. Oh, boy. Okay. I like that. Anthony Richardson, next Tennessee Titan in the first round. Joe Rexrode, your called shots of the week.
Okay, let me make sure that I this fancy game show host microphone messes me up on call your shot. Okay, so Caitlin Clark, a triple-double 30. They'll win it all. FAU will win it all. Anthony Richardson will be the next Titan, but is there another one in there?
I just said that LSU was going to be the team that would meet Iowa in the championship.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I've also got, so basically no triple-double, but 40 points. So Caitlin Clark will score more than 40. Iowa will shock South Carolina tonight, and also I will go a step further and win it all as well.
Wow.
So it's all Iowa all the time here. Georgia Amore will score 30 plus. The Hokies in their first Final Four will beat LSU tonight. And also, just throwing an extra one, Kim Mulkey will be wearing Easter Bunny footy pajamas on the sidelines.
With a cowboy hat on as well.
There you go. That's a good call.
I would use the word intriguing to describe some of her outfits thus far. Intriguing.
Really fast aside, in 2005, covered the women's Final Four. Michigan State had this crazy comeback to beat Tennessee in the semifinals, and they lost to Baylor in the national championship game. I was not aware of Kim Mulkey at the time. If you go find pictures of what she wore the night of the national championship game of 2005, I mean, she's an OG on this. Okay, this is not new. It was like, what is happening right now? It was like sequined. I don't even know, but anyway,
she's fierce. Okay, guys.
Yes, that's what it is. Yes, no question. All right, my college shots for the week.
Oh, wait, I got two more.
Oh, you got two more? You're not done. All right.
Yeah. Sorry. San Diego State FAU will have a combined score of less than 100 points. Okay, a combined score of less than 100 points, and UConn will win, but it will require a buzzer beater to escape Jim Larrañaga and the Canes.
Ooh, a buzzer beater. I like that. Good stuff. All right, are you done, Joe? You have 8 more?
I'm done.
Okay,
I'm no fourth.
All right. All right, the Atlanta Braves will win the World Series, so just file that one away. Keep it in the back of your mind as the Major League Baseball season begins. They won yesterday. As I told Chase, you can't go 162-0 without going 1-0. So the Braves are on track right now with a 7-2 takedown of the Washington Nationals yesterday. Philip Tomasino will score 2 goals tomorrow against the St. Louis Blues. 2 goals, which is an offensive outburst for the Predators with the way their lineup is currently constructed. 2 goals tomorrow for Philip Tomasino against the St. Louis Blues. Nashville SC will win by multiple goals against Orlando City tomorrow. So I will go with a Nashville SC bounce back, and they will win by multiple goals against Orlando City. And finally, South Carolina will take down Iowa by 15 plus. I think South Carolina, they're not going to stop Caitlin Clark, but they will slow her down enough, and South Carolina wins by 15 plus against Iowa to improve to what I believe would be 37-0. Joe Rexrode.
It sounds right. Something to know. It's definitely something to know.
Do you want to know their last loss? When was their last loss? Trivia.
I would assume Kentucky in the conference championship.
Woo! Here.
Last year.
Ryan Howard.
There we go.
Good trivia.
Got a text from Cam on the text line that says, called shots. UConn wins it all. The Preds pull within 1 point. And Roman Reigns retains at WrestleMania. Definitely the first WrestleMania called shot we've ever had on the history of the program. Congratulations to Cam for getting that done.
Is the script of the thing online somewhere, Cam? I'm just messing with you.
You're going to get people fired up.
You need a chaser fired up.
Oh, man. John on the text line says, the Mets versus the Mariners in the World Series, with the Mets winning it all. That is, first off, a very random World Series, but I love it. The Mets and the Mariners. That's what I'm talking about, with the Mets winning it all from John.
Wow, Willie Donick and TD would be very excited.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of Willie, I just want to thank Raymond and Franklin, because in the first segment I couldn't figure out my audio, and he said, "Don't worry, Joe. Every afternoon Willie calls in from some random location with awful reception." And you made me feel better, Raymond. Thank you.
This has been Call Your Shot Friday. You can check it out every Friday morning at 6:45 here on the program. Coming up next, we're going to get into the Tennessee Volunteers, their pro day yesterday, and some news on the basketball front as well. So we'll get into all that coming up in the next hour. Patrick Brown from GoVols 24/7 will join us coming up next. So looking forward to that conversation with him. Speaking of the Nashville Predators, The 2023-24 season tickets are on sale now, the 25th anniversary for the Preds next season. They'll be celebrating throughout the season. Full, half, and quarter season plans are available, and you can join the Loyal Legion today and receive the best seat locations at the best pricing, up to 50% off discounts on all concessions throughout the season, up to 6 bonus tickets to select games in the 2023-24 season as well, and priority access to an exciting event this summer, the 2023 NHL Draft and Awards, which are hosted right here in Nashville. You can learn more at NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. Once again, that's NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
Every day we are live and local.
Are you going to pay $20.2 million for someone who's struggling this much to stay healthy?
And your source for Nashville sports.
The players got to play better, and they're the ones actually out on the court, and they got to execute.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This week at the Electronic Express Markdown Mania event, get instant savings of up to 40% off in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, housewares, gaming consoles, speakers, and more. At Electronic Express, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 3 years free financing. Shop the Markdown Mania sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Now, your Game Center update.
The Nashville Predators got shut out last night 2-0 in Pittsburgh by the Penguins. In the last 47 games, UC Saros has been 26-16-6, and he has made at least 30 saves in 26 games. After the game last night, John Hines spoke on the team's performance and specifically UC Saros.
Yeah, it was a tough night for us. I think you credit Pittsburgh. They put some pressure on us. We didn't generate. I just didn't think we played fast enough through the neutral zone. We didn't manage the puck well to be able to make their D turn, and then we didn't test Jari a lot, but we did get some good looks, and he made some big saves for him.
Former Belmont star point guard Destiny Wells entered the transfer portal and announced on social media yesterday she'll be joining the Lady Vols. Tennessee men's basketball player Olivia Conwa has entered the transfer portal. The women's Final Four kicks off tonight, 6 p.m. tip-off with LSU Virginia Tech, followed by Iowa and South Carolina. Tomorrow will be the men's Final Four, FAU and San Diego State, followed by Miami and UConn. This report is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I'm Michelle Knezvik for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robby and Rexrode. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willie, D-Base.
Stone and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
1025 and 1063.
Crank City score. On both sides of the one big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode. Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. as we've discussed, it was Tennessee's Pro Day yesterday. And to help us talk more about that and some Tennessee football as well, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Patrick Brown, who covers the Tennessee Volunteers for Go Vols 24/7. Patrick, good morning. How are you doing? Patrick, I think we got you now. Patrick, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep, we're all good. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning here on the show. So, Patrick, we've talked about Hendon Hooker and exactly where he fits in this draft process. And obviously he's coming off the ACL injury, and he was there yesterday at Tennessee's Pro Day and spoke. What did you take away from Hendon Hooker at Tennessee's Pro Day yesterday?
I think probably the biggest thing was just seeing him throw a football again. He was out there on the field kind of just throwing warm-up passes with Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman before those wide receivers did their part of the on-field portion of the workouts and ran some routes. And they actually had UT Martin quarterback Dresser Wynn, who was actually throwing to them during that session. But Hooker was there kind of throwing some warm-up passes to him. And talking to him afterwards, he kind of scoffed at the notion that he wouldn't be ready for the start of his rookie NFL season. So he kind of continued to harp on what he said a lot at the Combine, which was he feels like he's impressing teams by showing them kind of what his role was, what his responsibilities were in Tennessee's offense. I think different NFL people probably label Tennessee's offense different things. It's obviously very different from a lot of college offenses. It's obviously very different from the pro game, but I think Hooker has enjoyed being able to show teams and show NFL personnel, here were all my responsibilities, here are all the calls I had to make, the reads I had to make. I had to do all of these things really quickly at the line of scrimmage because we're going so fast. And I think that's how he stood out. That's how he's not been able to throw really for any of these teams, but he's continued to sort of hold steady in some of these mock drafts. I don't think he's going to be a top 5 pick, but that one was out there in the last week or so. But I think that, and also he's a very talented quarterback. He can run, he can throw. I think he's got good downfield accuracy. Some of those things that are in that translate regardless of the offense you're playing. I think he showed that last season, and he can point to that on the game film. But certainly, I think teams know at this point they're going to get a guy that's very cerebral, very hardworking, and is going to be a good leader and a good guy to have in your franchise, in your organization, in your locker room.
Pedro, did Cedric Tillman run a 40 yesterday?
He did, Joe. I did not get a time, but I thought Tillman was a guy that I think has continued to help himself throughout this process, just because you kind of wonder what he would look like after the ankle injury. I can't remember what he ran at the Combine. I think it was 4.53.
4.54, I think. Yeah, which is good.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, for his size at 6'3", at 215 pounds, I think it was a good time for him. He's always insisted that he's faster than everyone thinks he is. So maybe that's why he ran it yesterday, just to maybe try to better that time a little bit. But he's a guy I thought looked really good. He had a really crisp routes on interception. His routes are really good. He has good acceleration off the line. He's obviously a big body. He catches the ball really well, uses his hands really well. We've seen him use his body. I think he's probably maybe helped himself in this pre-draft process, maybe a little bit more than Jalen Hyatt has. And I think that was important for him because, the ankle injury, we didn't get to see him a whole lot last season. And then we didn't get to see him in the Senior Bowl because of it as well. So he missed out on maybe some opportunities, but I think he's been able to, in this process, show or really back up what he showed on film in 2021. I think for a lot of people at the end of the day, these pro days and combines and all this stuff, it's just part of the information gathering process, right? It's how it, is to back up the film. The film is always what's going to be sort of the main thing, right? So, he's got the 2021 season, the end of the year, the way he played, where he was just incredible. So, big games against Georgia, Alabama, lots of contested catches. I think you know what you're going to get with Cedric Tillman. I think he's helped himself, and I think he continued to help himself yesterday with some of the routes he ran and the way he looked in the on-field portion of his workout yesterday.
Patrick Brown from GoVols 24/7 with us here on Robby and Rexrode. Patrick, how do you think Jalen Hyatt and his skill set translates to the NFL?
That's a very good question, and it's been hotly debated, I would say, over the past few months. I think he's got an elite trait with his speed and his ability to be a big play home run guy. And I think that's going to keep his floor pretty high in terms of where he might go. I thought maybe with a better, maybe a better performance at the combine. If he runs in the low 4.3s or something like that, maybe he'd be a little bit more in the first round conversation. So maybe his ceiling there is maybe been a little bit lowered by what's happened. He still ran a 4.4, and he told us yesterday he ran a 4.4 on a bad hamstring. So he felt his hamstring tighten up during one of the jumps in Indianapolis, and it actually ended up cutting his workout short by a few reps. So, but he said he was feeling really good yesterday, thought about running the 40, but said that based on the feedback, he decided he didn't need to, which I kind of took as, NFL teams are fine with him running a 4.4. It matches what he did on film, where he was just running by guys all the time. Obviously, there are question marks. There are going to be some teams that maybe harp more on what he can't do, but there's going to be teams that see his elite trait and his ability to take the top off the defense and run past guys and say we can find ways to make that work. And I've kind of always said that if you draft Jalen Hyatt and ask him to do things he doesn't do as well, then that's on you and not really on him. So I do think it's notable. He weighed in at 184 yesterday, he said, which was 8 pounds, heavier than he did at the combine. So he was, I think, 6 foot 176 in Indianapolis, and people probably thought he's kind of really small, kind of slender. And that's one of his questions, right? Can he get off press? Is he going to be able to break tackles and be a guy that you can count on for after the catch yardage and be a ball in hand guy, maybe get jet sweeps or reverses too. And certainly I think, like I said, I think his elite trait is going to keep him from dropping too far. I've seen some projections that have him in the third round. I'm thinking he's going to be long gone by then. I don't know if he'll be a late first rounder, but I think with both him and Tillman, it also kind of depends on what happens with the receivers, because this class is not really a dominant guy or two at the top. So different teams are going to have different types that they want, and it's just going to matter of when do those guys start coming off the board, when do these receivers start getting picked. If it's mid-first round, maybe Jalen sneaks into late first. But if it starts a little bit later, maybe he goes early in day 2. But like I said, I think his speed is going to keep him from dropping too far, because there's going to be some team out there is going to be like, he can be our home run guy right off the bat and help us right away.
So, Patrick, I did want to ask you about spring drills going on right now. First of all, did Joe Milton throw like the football out of the building or anything, like put a hole in the facility? Or I heard that he was throwing it around. So I guess how did he look yesterday? But how has he looked in general? And there's a lot going on, of course, with this team. But of course, we're enamored with the quarter. Anything that might be a quarterback competition, although I sense it's really not a competition. Is that your sense right now too?
Yeah, Joe, it's funny. I was joking with somebody yesterday that when Tennessee has its pro day next year, they're going to have it outside because they have to really see Milton let it fly. You can't put a roof over his head. That's going to put limitations on him. But honestly, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think Tennessee is sort of saying it's competition. Josh Heupel after the first practice basically said that competition is everywhere, every position, but I think everybody knows that it's not. It's felt like this was going to be Joe Milton's team really since the end of last season. He's viewed it that way. I think a lot of his teammates view it that way. He's really kind of stepped up into the leadership role that Hendon Hooker had. They're different guys. I think it's something that I keep harping on, because Hooker is like this film junkie football savant. Like, he was talking yesterday about how he can't walk past a mirror without grabbing an expo marker and drawing up plays like he's like some football version of Good Will Hunting. And Milton's a little bit more laid back. He's a little bit more easygoing. He's always been an energy guy, a juice guy, a guy that the teammates gravitate towards. So you wonder, could he step into that role where, if something's not right or if a practice isn't going well, you got to step up and say, hey, guys, we need to get this corrected. And can he have the poise that Hooker showed, where it seemed like every time Tennessee needed a play, he would go out and make one. And it was just one game, but I think we saw that with Milton in the Orange Bowl, right? I mean, Tennessee's offense wasn't clicking throughout the first half of that game, but they kind of kept at it, made some plays, got enough points on the board. And then, when Clemson pulled within one, they had that drive to respond. You threw the touchdown play to Ramel Keaton, but before that, he had a 3rd and 9 where he had to hit Keaton on a slant to convert. That was like one of those gotta-have-it moments, and Keaton was not his first read. And he made that play and sort of kept his cool and made the play. So, I think the way you described it is sort of how I view it as well, that they're pushing competition. They want it to be maybe sort of like the dynamic was with Hooker and Milton, where there's a good relationship between them. Obviously, it's a little bit different because Milton's a 6th-year guy. Nico Iamaleava is a freshman. He's learning everything right now. It's coming at him fast, but they want to have him ready, and they want him to be pushing Milton because those are the only 2 scholarship guys they got in the room right now. So, it feels like it's Milton's team, and I think whether or not they tout it as a competition, or I don't know if Heupel's going to come out in August and be like, Joe Milton's our starting quarterback. It's not like really a secret. So, that's sort of how I'm viewing it, and that seems to be how a lot of people I talk to view it as well, that it's Milton's team, and he's the guy for this group.
Well, Patrick, great stuff. Really appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Absolutely, you as well. Patrick
Thanks,
Brown from GoVols 24/7, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on what Patrick had to say there, and also some news on the Tennessee men's basketball front yesterday that has a lot of Vols fans kind of raising their eyebrows a little bit. We'll get into that coming up next as well. Make sure you check out Nashville's Best Deal of the Week. It's from Hot Works in Goodlettsville. Open 24/7 in their infrared, virtually led sauna classes. Choose from Hot Cycle, Hot Blast, Hot Thunder, Hot Yoga, Hot Bar, and more. Right now, you can join for just $39 in time for their grand opening coming up on April 1st. That is tomorrow. That's $60 off the GameNashville.com/deals. You can get more workout in less time at Hot Works. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
They can be a fully formed model of what they're going to be offensively moving forward.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
You don't know what's going to happen with the roster or the team.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
This is a good lesson about sports and what we think and what actually happens.
Chad Withrow on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Preds fans, Superbook wants to send one lucky fan a pair of tickets on the ice. Text the keyword Superbook, all one word, to 615-737-1025 for entry to win.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Join 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Nashville Predators Energy Team this Monday, April 3rd at the Rusty Nail in Hermitage to watch your Nashville Predators take on the Dallas Stars. Enjoy $3 two-lane beer drafts and cheer on the Preds. That's the Rusty Nail in Hermitage. Go Preds! This week's Nashville's best deal is the all-new Hot Works Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Right now, join for just $39 in time for their grand opening April 1st. That's $60 off at thegamenashville.com/deals. Hot Works offers 24/7 infrared fitness in 15 and 30-minute virtually led sauna sessions. Get more workout in less time at Hot Works. And right now, save $60 on enrollment at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Take your first shot at hoops with FanDuel Sportsbook. Sign up today by going to FanDuel.com/play and make every moment more with FanDuel.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit KESGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Thanks to Patrick Brown from Go Vols 24/7 for being with us in the last segment. We're taking your calls and your text, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025, our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So some news on the Tennessee front yesterday as it relates to the men's basketball program, and Mike Wilson put this out there yesterday, friend of the show. Tennessee basketball forward Olivier Kamwa entering the transfer portal as a graduate transfer. So he's got 1 year left of eligibility due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and Kamwa on his way out. We saw Kamwa with an epic performance against Duke in the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament, and now Olivier Kamwa entering the transfer portal. And obviously that had some Tennessee fans raising their eyebrows a little bit yesterday, Joe Rexrode. What do you think of that move from Kamwa to enter the transfer portal as a graduate transfer?
Yeah, it's a loss, and it's not one Tennessee wanted. So, I mean, this one is – and I'm not surprised. And I frankly, I don't think that it's – like Rick Barnes's fault that Kamwa has kind of been up and down. They've had a lot of different guys who've kind of had ups and downs offensively. Kamwa is a very talented player, like you said. The Duke game shows that. Still another level of consistency as a shooter to find, better as a ball handler, and he's kind of a tweener of a player, but I know that Tennessee wanted him back next year for sure. I thought that maybe he would try the NBA route or try to even just play professionally in general, wherever he could play next year. Interesting that he's in the portal instead. This happens all the time. This is all over the place. When Kamwa picked Tennessee, Grant Williams was a huge part of that. He came in right after Grant Williams left, and it was, this is a developmental program. Look what they did with Grant Williams. And it's almost like because he didn't become Grant Williams, he's not the exact same player, but it's almost like it's like at this point there's a sort of an idea that maybe if he goes somewhere else, they'll better utilize him. And look, maybe he'll go somewhere and he'll be scoring 17 every night. But to me, it's just work on your own individual game, continue to develop it, and we'll see where he is. I just think he's a little bit short of an NBA player, and obviously he wants to be an NBA player. Anybody would in that position, but Tennessee needed him next year to be a key player, to be a central part of the front court. They're still going to be a talented team, but that's one of those portal losses that is an actual loss.
Yeah, for sure. And, obviously some Tennessee fans, when this happened yesterday, I was looking around on Twitter, and a lot of blaming Rick Barnes and the offensive system that Tennessee runs. Our friend John Reed on Twitter says, "Yikes, very interesting to see where he goes and to see if he flourishes in a modern offense." What's the tweet that he had yesterday? So lots of people kind of making the connection, Joe, of what you spoke on there, of Kamwa looking for more offensive opportunity out there and laying this one at the feet of Rick Barnes. Fair or unfair, that's what some Tennessee fans were doing yesterday.
Yeah, and look, the modern thing I think is that's a weird way to put it for me, but I will say that I think that Tennessee's defensive system is an identity in the program, and you kind of like there's an expectation, and they're going to be at a high level every year. And offensively, it has been more erratic. You know, it's been more up and down. Sometimes it just doesn't seem as, trying to think of the right word, just as defined as it needs to be. So I don't think it's like some archaic system. They run ball screens. They run the same horn sets that like everybody runs. I mean, this isn't. I mean, they run a bunch of plays that NBA teams run too. They all steal plays from each other, but some teams have more of their identity rooted in their offense, and Tennessee's is in its defense. So, look, I can tell you, writing a Kamwa story a few weeks ago, and I think his dad, I think that they do. I don't know if blame's the right word, but I do think they think that he has not been fully tapped into as a player. Again, like I'll look at Grant Williams and I'll say, so why did it work for him?
Right.
Same coach. Why is it that he took a huge step, then a huge step, then a huge step, and the NBA had to have him, and he's having a good NBA career? I mean, it's hard for me to look at that and say, yeah, Rick Barnes holds players back, man. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't fit. But like there's been a lot of players who have left Tennessee, and I think a lot of that is the glut up front.
Yep.
You look at DJ Burns at NC State, found a home, and he was very good this year. Drew Pember, the conference player of the year, lower level, but conference player of the year at UNC Asheville. So, maybe Kamwa will go somewhere and absolutely light it up. To me, he needs to become just more consistent as a player. And, well, look, one thing that Rick Barnes talked about for this story is, he has a lot of different moves, and he's a gym rat, and he works on all this stuff. I always tell him, take 2 moves and perfect them. So that, those 2 moves can't be stopped. But, it's whenever – I mean, this is college basketball now. I mean, if you're not producing where you think you should be producing, 80-90% of the players in that situation now are getting in the portal.
Well, now it's an interesting spot for Tennessee with their roster moving forward, and Mike Wilson points this out in his story. They got 2 available scholarships, and there's still, what's going to happen with Julian Phillips? Could any or all of Josiah Jordan-James, Plavsic, Vescovi be coming back to use their final year of eligibility at Tennessee? So, the James, Plavsic, Vescovi part of it is interesting. You and I have talked about the Julian Phillips situation. I think it would be a mistake for him to declare the NBA draft, but I guess that's up to him. We'll see what happens on that front. But an interesting spot that Rick Barnes and this program are now in with their roster and what it's going to look like next year.
Well, I think Julian Phillips should do what Tyron Lawrence is doing and not hire anything. Yeah, go compete and kind of see for yourself, where you fall short, and that's what he'll see. Now, look, doesn't mean someone won't take him. It's possible, but yeah, I mean, I don't think he's close to ready. I think Plavsic and Vescovi are gone. I really believe that. I think they won't be here next year. James could possibly come back. That one will be interesting. James is a guy who, with that size, that the shot has got to be he's got to continue to work. He's gotten a lot better, but he's got 3-and-D guy in the NBA. At that size, as well as he plays defensively, I think the durability with him is going to be questioned. He's had a bunch of injuries, but he could be back. Nate, go ahead.
Do you think Plavsic and Vescovi are playing pro overseas somewhere, or do you think they're going somewhere else as a transfer?
Yeah, I think pro overseas.
Okay,
that would be my guess for both of them. Yeah. Nate says it sucks losing Kamwa, but unlike Vandy fans, I understand college sports has changed. You got to work with and around it, potentially losing great players. I assume that's a reference to Vandy fan reaction to the portal. See, most of the Vanderbilt portal guys to me have not been a big surprise. Jordan Wright would be the one, kind of like Kamwa. Like, I don't know where Jordan Wright's going to go. That's a loss. Obviously Vanderbilt would love to have him back next year. And of course, he had some very big ups and downs with Stackhouse this year, getting benched and things like that, and Stackhouse emotionally talking about him. That's disappointing, I would think, for Stackhouse to lose him. But the other guys who have gotten the portal for Vanderbilt, it's playing time stuff. Ezra Manjon coming back next year as a 35-minute a game point guard means I was like, yep, I bet you Noah Shelby gets in the portal, and he did. So I mean, some of it is like you have to expect it. The Kamwa one is one where I know that Rick Barnes wanted Kamwa back on his team next year.
JC in Goodlettsville on the text line says, transfer rules are ruining basketball. Give kids one free transfer with no penalty, then it's 1 year sitting out with each move. Keep graduate transfers as well. We created a terrible system. Kids need to learn loyalty, the importance of making good decisions when choosing a school. This is from JC in Goodlettsville on the text line.
Well, I don't think the toothpaste is going back in the bottle. I do think that there are a lot of bad decisions that are made. My problem with this. So we got to go here soon, but like Destiny Wells leaving Belmont to go to Tennessee. This is a huge get for Kelly Harper in Tennessee. I think she's going to be fantastic for Tennessee. This is exactly what they need. They need a guard who can dictate a game along with all the other pieces they have. And I think they could be dynamite. It's fantastic and good for her. Also, it just sucks for Belmont.
Yeah.
And I'm watching Adam Kunkel light it up for Xavier, right, in the NCAA tournament. And like, man, well, Casey Alexander recruited that guy. How good would he have looked at Belmont? The mid-majors are getting picked over. And I think my biggest problem with all this, I think player, freedom of movement should be there. Coaches have it. Players should have it. But I also think that the recruiting off other teams' rosters, if there's something that we're going to try to actually police in the sport, that's so out of control. I mean, all I hear from Jemai Mashak's parents telling me a couple weeks ago, like every day basically, other schools are calling us about him because he's not playing that much. So hey, I mean, that stuff that to me is, and again, it's the adults doing that, right? Yeah. It's the adults doing that, trying to pilfer each other's rosters. I mean, that to me is ridiculous.
Well, we've said it. I mean, you basically got to re-recruit your own team every year now as a college basketball coach. I mean, that's what it is. And it is bad for the product. I mean, long term, it's bad for the product if you don't have 3 and 4 year players you can latch onto as a fan like you used to be able to. I don't think there's any question it's bad for the product. We'll continue the discussion on college basketball. We'll get into the Final Four matchups coming up next. Take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game.
Hey, this is Matt Duchene, and this is Smashville.
Drummond down the left side with Duchene. Duchene scores! Matt Duchene with the overtime winner.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 1025, The Game.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here. The tournament is heating up, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Rob and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the nets. I'm telling you, FAU, that's the way to go. I'm all in on the Owls, but you can take it any way you want to take it, all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/Rob to sign up. You can make every moment more with FanDuel. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Last year, Jerry was all like, hey, I'm going to go to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix this year. Then he didn't. Instead, he decided to weed his garden. And he missed an August weekend of IndyCar racing, supertruck racing, even night racing, all through downtown Nashville. Sure, old Jer had a lot of weeds to pull, but Jerry also totally sucks. Hey, don't suck like Jerry. Get your tickets at MusicCityGP.com for August 4th through 6th, the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Get amped.
If you missed the latest from Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
And I want to get into all of those matchups and just how bizarre is maybe not the right word, but how unique this year's Final Four is.
I mean, in college football, you could never have this. This will never happen in college football. It'll always be the top power conferences that have the playoff teams. Now, they're going to change the format where you might have they'll get a little invite to the party, but it's so unlikely that pick whoever, the Boise State at their top, would go all the way to the finals or even the Final Four in this new playoffs. So do we like this in college basketball? Because it's much more likely to happen now and going forward than it did 15, 20 years ago.
It's interesting. In the era of the transfer portal and especially NIL.
Yep.
Now NIL has incentivized some of the top players in the country.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home, and the men who use PTO to catch afternoon basketball in March with the boys. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments so the first payment is not until summer of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Lowe's MVP's bonus days are back for pros. Right now, buy a DeWalt 20-volt Max Power Stack Battery 2-pack at $199 and get a select DeWalt Bear tool free. Plus, earn 3 times the bonus points on all Metabo HPT tools and products. Shop even more savings and bonus points offers during MVP's bonus days at Lowe's. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid 3/20 through 3/31. Subject to change. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. Visit Lowes.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robby and Rexrode 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Friday morning. I got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to see Janet Jackson at Bridgestone Arena coming up on May the 4th. Be caller 5, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 5 will win a pair of tickets to see Janet Jackson coming up at Bridgestone Arena on May 4th, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, the Final Four taking place this weekend. FAU and San Diego State in the first game tomorrow, and then in the nightcap tomorrow night, Miami and UConn. We've talked about the abnormal nature of this Final Four with no 1 seeds anywhere in sight, and UConn being the highest seed as a number 4 seed in the Final Four. The FAU-San Diego State matchup is amazing. Apparently, as we discovered earlier this week, 37 people around the country actually predicted this matchup. I want to know how many of them were under the age of 5. That would be really interesting to monitor at that point. But what do you make of these two matchups? Let's start with FAU taking on San Diego State.
Or over the age of 100.
Well, that too.
Yeah, FAU, San Diego State. So San Diego State, in a lot of ways, not quite the sort of targeted pressure, not exactly the same idea, but basically swarming, help man in the gaps, length everywhere defense. So very much like Tennessee. So the matchup reminds me of FAU against Tennessee. The difference being, Tennessee has more offensive firepower and a lot more talent than San Diego State, but that you didn't see a lot of that down the stretch as they scored, 16 points in the last 12 minutes of the game.
Yes.
To let that game slip away against FAU. But it's a similar, I think, kind of thing with San Diego State's defense. And I hate to doubt FAU. I like FAU a lot. I think they're a really tough special team. And John L. Davis is a special talent, and they have other guys who can hit shots. They've got some. Elijah Martin is a big time athlete, so it's not like they are devoid of talent. But I think they're obviously a sum of your parts team. Both of these teams are. San Diego State is definitely more talented. Matt Bradley really has had a tough tournament. He wasn't even on the floor in winning time for San Diego State, which was stunning to see in the last game. But I think he'll bounce back. And I guess I'm just going to keep eating crow with the Owls, so to speak. But
well
I just came up with that on the fly, man.
That's why you listen to this program.
Yeah, that's right. That wasn't even an Izzo pre-show meeting suggested pun. So I just think San Diego State is destined to get to the title game. That's a program, and remember 3 years ago, that was an incredibly loaded 30-2 team. And I know their league isn't as good as Power 5 leagues, but 30-2, and they played a very good non-league schedule. That was I think they're probably going to be a 2 seed, I think. Maybe a 1 seed, but certainly a 2 in the tournament. That team, Dayton and San Diego State that year were arguably the two best teams in college basketball. They both got hosed out of these, special magical runs because of COVID. And now this is San Diego State kind of getting back there and having a chance to kind of atone for that team. And I think they're going to be playing Monday night.
What about Miami and UConn? UConn has been rolling through people in the tournament so far, and Miami with an impressive comeback last time out. An interesting one coming up in the nightcap tomorrow night between the Hurricanes and the Huskies.
Miami is really freaking good, man. Miami, what they did against Texas, and Texas kind of collapsed, but they were toast, and they just dominated that game down the stretch. Isaiah Wong can get whatever shot he wants. They got some pros on that team. But UConn to me is actually kind of a good lesson. And I've believed this before. It doesn't always work out. There's nothing that across the board always works out when you're looking at your bracket. But UConn's a great example of a team that, and I've seen this from some Michigan State teams and other teams, that are really good that have had tournament runs. If a team goes out and kicks butt in the non-league and looks like a dominant team, like it might be the best team out there or one of them, and beats all these teams from different leagues, some of the top teams, exactly what UConn did, and then the conference schedule kind of grinds them down. Remember what they did in November and December, because conference, a lot of time these teams get in their leagues and these teams know each other so well. The coaches know each other so well. They scout the crap out of each other. They do an especially good job of taking away each other's strengths when you get into league play, and it's just a grind. And then you get out and it's like you're freed, to play your basketball again. And I think UConn's a great example of that. The UConn we see now is exactly who we saw early in the year when they were number one. That's who they are. And I think they're the best team. UConn's an incredible situation. They have all these ups and downs as a program. They'll miss the tournament for years in a row. Coaching changes. They're very inconsistent.
Yep.
But when they make a run, they win it. They win the dang thing. So I think UConn is rolling too much here. I do hope Miami can make this a game. And after what Miami did against Texas, I can't rule it out.
And then there's the women's side of things, Joe. I am very excited in all seriousness. Even though I think South Carolina is going to pull away at the end, I am very excited for Iowa at South Carolina. Watching Caitlin Clark go up against what I believe is the best team in the country in South Carolina, it's going to be a fascinating one. I think the ratings are going to be big for this one too, and I'm looking forward to the matchup between Iowa and South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one game I'm most excited about of the four we know we're gonna have the next 2 days, it's that one tonight, the nightcap tonight. And it's just, I mean, Caitlin Clark, it is like watching Steph Curry. Like you can't, like, you just have to watch. She just controls the game, unlimited range, just incredible. You know, her timing and vision in passing the ball, unbelievable. And it's not like Iowa doesn't have other good players too. I mean, they're a good team up and down, but like you said, I mean, South Carolina comes at you in waves. They've had close calls this year. I mean, Ole Miss really nearly got them not long ago. I mean, they've been in games this year. So I know that the odds makers are going to tell you we're going to have South Carolina, LSU in an all SEC title game, and that may be, but I think Iowa's got a chance. I think it almost feels like, and I know it's different because like Gino and UConn were so dominant for so long, but it almost feels like a few years ago when Mississippi State got UConn, and it was just like, oh man, that was huge for the sport. I mean, you think about what the tournament has become in terms of the parity now, and the fact like a 9 can beat a 1 now on their home floor. That never used to happen. So it's gotten a lot better. I think it would be, I mean, it's not like it's bad for the game of South Carolina rips through and has an undefeated season at all. Okay. But it would be amazing if Iowa could pull this off.
Well, South Carolina favored by 11.5 in this one. So the odds makers are telling you it's a pretty hefty favorite for South Carolina. But I mean, look, we've seen it. Caitlin Clark gets hot, then a lot of different things can happen in a game. She can single-handedly change the game.
Yeah, and I got to say, boy, I like Iowa. I don't want to give away, my picks later, but I like Iowa plus the 11.5. I will gladly take those points. I think South Carolina should clearly be the clear favorite, but I think this is going to be a fourth quarter game and a single-digit game anyway.
615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. We will do that next. Teron Davenport coming up at 8 o'clock as well. All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Trading in or selling your car, truck, or SUV? WeBuyAnyCar.com takes the hassle out of selling in 3 easy steps. 1. Get a free online valuation. 2. Drive to your local car buying center. And 3. Walk out with a check in about an hour. So don't wait. Get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at WeBuyAnyCar.
Get a great deal on one of the most versatile tractors in the industry, the Kubota L, which is part of Kubota's tractor lineup rated #1 in durability and owner experience. Stop by Krebs Kubota today to bring home select L Series equipment for $0 down. 0% APR for up to 72 months, plus save up to $800. Now through June 30th, see Krebs Kubota or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Online at KrebsKubota.com.
Men, this is Evan Bass with the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and I've been helping men with sexual health issues for many years. I've seen the pain and anxiety that men walk into the clinic with when erectile dysfunction is affecting them, and I also know the heartache and difficulty it can bring to their partner. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've been successfully treating men for ED for many years now. We've seen the amazing impacts that those treatments have on a man's confidence and positivity, and we've seen the wonderful things those treatments also do for a man's relationship. That's why I'm pleased to announce that we are now offering the same great services we offer at our Nashville clinic at our new location in Franklin, which will make it much more convenient for those men living south of Nashville to get treated. So call us today and book your appointment at our Midtown location or at our new clinic in Cool Springs. Your first visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment, sex, drug results vary.
Natalia, solid dismount, but that little pause is a deduction.
Top tumblers hope to stick the landing with Coach Jasmine.
That aerial sequence still needs work.
She needs more certified athletic trainers to find her balance.
Focus. I'm going to need you for the all-around. Wait, who's spotting the vault?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
He's got big takes.
It's not that freaking hard. Hand the ball to Henry.
Small takes.
You have to defend your decision.
But all takes.
They win, they lose. Just invested a lot into this game. I thought it was the worst press conference.
He is Jared Stillman.
I guess I'm just not a very good coach, Jared.
Weekdays from 2 to 6. Stillman and Company. Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
I had the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant here on Robby and Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Joe Rexrode, I hand things over to you.
I'm going to keep... It's lovely. It's a lovely tune. I'm going to keep going on the basketball, kind of going back to what we were just talking about a couple segments ago, but I think there's more to talk about. And I'm going to focus it on Tennessee because, again, it's two very different situations, both of which I think are kind of representative of the issue we have. Now, look, I don't know what happened, with Destiny Wells to Tennessee. I'll say again, I certainly cannot blame Destiny Wells for looking at Tennessee, have an opportunity to go to one of the two most decorated traditional programs in women's basketball. And again, I think that Destiny Wells is going to go in there, be the starting point guard. And Jordan Walker was a very good player for Tennessee, tough. She could run the team. She played hard-nosed defense. She's a good player, good leader. But, Destiny Wells is a bucket getter who also, can do all those things. And I think it's going to be fantastic. I look at Tennessee next year. We'll see what Jordan Horston does. If Jordan Horston decides to come back instead of entering the WNBA draft, which Rickea Jackson's already decided, both of them potential top 5 picks. Rickea Jackson's coming back. Tamari Key's coming back. I mean, I think on paper that's a top 5 team next year. So good for her. It's a great opportunity. But my gosh, it's just crushing for a Belmont, for that program and what they've done to build it and to see that happen. I mean, it's so tough right now for mid-majors. So there's that side of it. And then there's the side of Tennessee men's basketball losing Olivier Kamwa. And again, I know some more information on that. I think some of the frustration is Rick Barnes is like assistant to the assistant producer Tom Izzo.
Yes.
On the Robby and Rexrode show. Rick Barnes is a penalize a mistake with your butt on the bench coach. Okay. It's more of an old school approach. And again, Izzo does it all the time too. Barnes does it. You go out and you don't cut out on a free throw line, or you go out and you mess up a ball screen coverage, something. A lot of times like, yep, go get Olivier. And Tennessee had a lot of depth this year. And so I think there's some of the frustration is how are you supposed to get into a rhythm offensively and be consistent if you are, if you are a judge like that and you're not allowed to play through some mistakes. And I understand that. But again, I would say, and this is just one example, but I think this is representative of a lot of these situations. If you are at a place with a coach with a track record, and in this case, you looked at Grant Williams and you said, "This is who I want to be." Now, Grant Williams was judged the same way. Grant Williams, here, come catch a little bench, buddy, when you don't do things right. The thing is, he quickly stopped that, and Grant Williams was such a heady all-around player on both ends of the floor that he made it so you couldn't take him off the floor. And I think, and I don't want to be too hard on Kamwa in particular, but I just think what happens a lot of times is, people want to point at other people when you've got to just improve yourself, and Tennessee, that program, the March record is what it is, but in terms of individual development of players and maximizing what players are, I think we can go through a whole long list of guys that have arrived at Tennessee as something and then left as something else because they develop players at an extremely high level. I look at Vanderbilt and Jerry Stackhouse. It's a much shorter track record, but look at how much better so many guys have gotten, So I think sometimes it's like you don't want to look at what you can do internally to make it so that you can't be taken off the floor. And the answer is just jump in the portal. And the portal is just so many people. I mean, Kamwa is a very good player. His situation, he'll find a home, but will he find some place where all of a sudden now everything's going to click if he's not held as accountable for these mistakes? Because NBA people care about that stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
NBA people want you to know the ball screen coverage every time. NBA people want you to be physical on defense and not turn it over and all these things too. I mean, so if you go to a place where it's more lax, but you can get better numbers, does that make you a better NBA prospect? I would say no. Michael Jordan scored 17 points a game at the peak at North Carolina. Okay. I mean, the numbers and the volume of offense is not what it's about. It's about what you are as a player.
Well, not to bring every conversation that we have on this program back to Joe Milton, but I will bring it back to Joe Milton from this standpoint. Like, there's a reason the Joe Milton hanging around at Tennessee when he could have left when Hendon Hooker took his job. Like, there's a reason everybody talks about that so much. It's because it doesn't happen anymore in the world of college sports. And look, I'm not placing blame on Olivier Kamwa. He can do whatever he wants. I'm just saying, like, it feels like in sports nowadays there's a couple of different things at play. To your first point, I totally agree. Like, for the players, whether it's in women's basketball or in men's basketball or whatever sport it is, for the players that are really successful at like the mid-major level, a lot of times all that does is really just elevate them into, oh, look, now these big programs are going to take notice of what I'm doing, and I'm going to go play there. And the mid-majors are left scratching their heads like, okay, well, that's great. Well, what do we do now? And then the other part of that is, like, when we talked about re-recruiting your roster, if you're some of these teams throughout college basketball, like, that's what it is now. Like, Jerry Stackhouse has got to re-recruit his roster every year. Rick Barnes has to re-recruit his roster every year. And look, there are a million different things that we've talked about when it comes to NIL and when it comes to the transfer portal. And I'm with you. Like, the idea of going back to a system where coaches can leave anytime they want, but players don't have freedom that way, I can't get behind, and we're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube going that way. But, I mean, look, we've talked about this for a couple of years now when we've discussed this issue. We knew things like this were coming and were going to happen, and now we're seeing kind of the fruits of it as it relates to the transfer portal. Now, I mean, LSU, think about LSU women's basketball, and Kim Mulkey said this the other day. The fact that they've been able to do this as quickly as they have and get to the Final Four and maybe playing in the NCAA a championship game coming up, she said 2 words: transfer portal. That's how they've done it. I mean, it totally changes everything.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought in Joe Milton. We don't talk about him enough.
Thank you.
Yeah, this does bring me to I want to go find this quote from Mika Meshack, who is the mom of Jemai Meshack. Again, another Tennessee. Like Tennessee tells all kinds of different stories in this on this front. So here again, like I said earlier, like they get called all the time because now I think that's going to end because he's going to be a starter next year and a really key player for Tennessee. But let me just read this quote from Mika Meshack. Okay, quote: I think it's important for a kid to figure out where he wants to go, but once you make that decision, now you've partnered with that coach. So who am I to tell a coach what I think he should do? Coaches want to win, so most often they're not playing some politics game and not trying to win. If it's not going well for you, look at yourself first. Don't go blaming the coach and us inserting our opinions into what they're doing. We're not there. That would be unfair. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, end quote. Like, seriously, like, you know, like the coaches, the NABC should like hire her to do a barnstorming tour and talk to all the parents. I mean, it's like when she's telling me this stuff, I'm like, I mean, this is just it's so refreshing to hear this. But man, there's just not enough of that mindset out there.
Yep, no question. This has been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Teron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter and host of Talking with TD. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans. That is coming up next. Make sure you tune in for some Nashville Sounds baseball tonight at 6:35 on 94.9. The Fan Sounds getting things kicked off tonight. The Sounds take on the Louisville Bats, the AAA affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds at First Horizon Park. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza and Family Leisure. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Ball right to score. Yoshi sets up Matt Duchesne.
All the big stories.
For the Predators, are you holding on to what you got, or are you selling some guys off?
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Green flag is in the air.
It may not happen that way every game.
His shot stopped.
Play better, gotta coach better.
TD Tigers.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
The Nashville Predators took on the Pittsburgh Penguins as their two-game Eastern trip continued Thursday night at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. Predators were down 1-0 after two. UC Saros certainly doing his job on Thursday night. Puck is put back behind the Penguin net, up to center, tipped over now for Raquel, 2-on-1. Raquel the shot, blocking pad save made by Saros. Huge save there, keeping this a 1-0 game. Ricard Raquel stopped on that one. Later on, Jake Gensel got a power play goal for the Penguins as they would go on for a 2-0 victory over the Predators. Predators flew home last night. They'll be taking on the Blues tomorrow at noon.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Take your first shot at hoops with FanDuel Sportsbook. Sign up today by going to FanDuel.com/play and make every moment more with FanDuel.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit KESGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Wendy's 2 for $6 lets you mix and match some of our best items, like Dave Single with a 10-piece crispy nugs, medium strawberry lemonade with a spicy chicken sandwich, spicy chicken with a Dave Single with a strawberry lemonade, strawberry lemonade, if you're into that. Chicken Sam, crispy nugs, strawberry lemonade, Dave's, nugs, Sam. Whew. Pick what you want at a price you want. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's 2 for $6.
For a limited time, price participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's. On the card only. Single item at regular price.
Now, your Game Center update.
The Nashville Predators got shut out last night 2-0 in Pittsburgh by the Penguins. In the last 47 games, UC Saros has been 26-16-6, and he has made at least 30 saves in 26 games. After the game last night, John Hines spoke on the team's performance and specifically UC Saros.
Yeah, it was a tough night for us. I think credit Pittsburgh, they put some pressure on us. We didn't generate. I just didn't think we played fast enough through the neutral zone. We didn't manage the puck well to be able to make their D turn, and then we didn't test Jarry a lot, but we did get some good looks, and he made some big saves for him.
Former Belmont star point guard Destiny Wells entered the transfer portal and announced on social media yesterday she'll be joining the Lady Vols. Tennessee men's basketball player Olivia Comlaw has entered the transfer portal. The women's Final Four kicks off tonight, 6 p.m. tip-off with LSU Virginia Tech, followed by Iowa and South Carolina. Tomorrow will be the men's Final Four, FAU and San Diego State, followed by Miami and UConn. This report is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5-106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
1, 2, 3. I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode. Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Friday morning. And as we do every Friday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our good friend Teron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter and host of Talking with TD. TD, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing well, man. How are you guys?
We're awesome. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. TD, you were out for the NFL owners meetings out there with the Titans earlier this week. What were a couple of your takeaways from here listening to Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon address the media earlier this week?
Yeah, I think it was pretty interesting, hearing them not really double down, but, they continue to shoot down any rumors or reports or anything about Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry not being there, address the Kevin Byard thing with Mike Vrabel saying that he wasn't even going to picture their defense without having Kevin Byard there. So I thought that was interesting. And even with the shift that I think may happen as far as how they look at wide receivers, I asked Mike Vrabel about getting away from the size and looking at guys that have the speed. And if they have the speed, it doesn't matter what their size is. And he didn't commit all the way to that shift, but he just said, if guys could contribute, then they're going to go out there and hunt them down. So those were some of the things that, stood out to me.
TD, is there anything to be read into, first of all, obviously it's not just quarterbacks at some of these pro days, but it does seem like the Titans are at some of these pro days with some of these first-round quarterbacks. Like, has their attendance or even, like, who has been at some of the things made you think any more that there's a real chance here that a quarterback could be the choice here for the Titans?
It doesn't make me think anymore that that's the possibility. Really what that is when you look at the draft, you never know how this thing turns out. You never know. So you could be sitting there at 11 and quarterback X could be there and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Now we got to shift gears and this is the guy we got to take. And I think because of that, you have to do your due diligence, do your homework, and make sure that you get opportunities to see these guys. And then to your point, take Florida, for instance. Osiris Torrance is a guy, I reported that they had a formal with him at the Combine. And then there were reports that they had a top 30 visit with him and also obviously talked to him at his pro day. So that's an example where it's kind of buy one, get one free. Yeah, you go there, you check out Anthony Richardson, but you also get to look at a guy like Osiris Torrance.
TD, when you watched Anthony Richardson, What do you see, and what do you think about the type of pro that he can ultimately grow to be?
Yeah, I always borrow when talking about him. I always borrow the saying that Jim Harbaugh had for Cam Newton back when they had that quarterback class coming out, and he said plutonium level potential, and that's what you look at. You see this guy make the throws that he makes, and not just in the pro day. You actually see him make those throws in games. And then you see him run the way he does and move within the pocket and then find a way to make a throw. And you're like, wow, that's what you want. But then at the same time, you see the accuracy and those type of things. So what I make of him is he's going to be a beauty to some of these. I mean, everybody's cocky and arrogant, confident, you know what I mean, as far as players and the coaches. So they're going to say, hey, I could take that and harness that into that happening this much as opposed to the cons that you're seeing. And you could make those pros outweigh the cons and want to have him as your guy. So that's what I see with him. He's going to appeal to one of these coaches that feels like they could, maximize his talent.
So, TD, I also thought Vrabel out there talking to you guys, because you guys were asking about Andre Dillard. I mean, it sounded, I guess a little more definitive because, you bring in Dillard and it is possible he could bump inside. It's possible you could draft, Paris Johnson or Skoronski or something in the first round and, things could move around. But I guess, did it sound, is there a little more confirmation that Dillard is going to get that crack to be this team's left tackle in 2023?
Yes, and that's something that we gathered, from talking to Mike Vrabel. Then also, Rand Carthon. I mean, it looks like he's going to be the top option at left tackle. But in talking to Carthon, one of the things that was interesting, PK and I, we were able to sit down with him. And one of the things that stood out to me with that conversation was he talked about the tackle possibility in the draft. And he was like, man, it would just mean we have 4 tackles. And one of the points that he made was, teams are always looking for tackles. So it was kind of like, okay, yeah, if a tackle is there and we feel he's on the top of the board, they'll take him. And that could just give them an option if they, need to make a trade or something like that out of abundance. They could do that. But then also, I mean, we saw last year, you could never have too many, and with how injuries have kind of ravaged this team the last couple of years. So I thought that was interesting that he still, kept the tackle option alive.
Deron Davenport with us here on Robby and Rexrode. TD, what do you make of the idea of a possibility of flex scheduling for Thursday night football games?
It disgusts me. I really don't like it. I feel when you have those Thursday games, we know we've seen firsthand, the shuffle that teams have to make as far as practice and travel and everything. When you have that already on the schedule and you could plan for that, okay, cool. But honestly, think about it. That's a logistical nightmare. I mean, imagine at the beginning of the month, you're like, okay, we got Sunday games. We have that whole thing set up. Right? The flight, the hotel, the itinerary, et cetera, and then all of a sudden you got to shift it. But most importantly, for the fans, think about that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now you got to scramble to change your hotel from Saturday to Monday to Wednesday to Friday and change your flight from that way too. That's not fair to the fans, man.
Take off work.
I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, it's not fair to the fans. So the league needs to stop with it. I understand you want to get the biggest games for prime, but I mean, it is what it is, man. If you happen to get a bad game, you get a bad game, man. Just suck it up and keep the things that have to be in focus. And that's the fans that travel for your league and to watch these games.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, TV runs this, and that's fine, but it can't run every little thing. I mean,
exactly.
It's just it's ridiculous. Well, anything else on that front, TD, that that really caught your eye? I mean, I think it was the Eagles, right? The Eagles were the ones trying the 4th and 20 instead of an onside kick, which I'm not a fan of. But anything else that did or didn't pass that you feel strongly about?
I like what the direction they're going, for the third quarterback option. I think that's interesting, and I hope that does get passed. So if there was anything, it would probably be that one. And, the hip drop tackle, that's something that's it's just getting to a point where it's like, okay, I mean, as a defensive player, like, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? So that's interesting also.
TD, what are your thoughts on Jonathan Mingo out of Ole Miss? Obviously, a lot of Titans fans making the A.J. Brown comparison, and we know that. But when you watch Jonathan Mingo, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I tell you, I've been talking about Mingo since December.
You have.
You know what I mean? And that's a guy that when you look at him, I like the way he's able to track the football. He's not a speed guy, even though he ran the 4.49. He's more of like your physical brute type of receiver. I could see the comparisons there that you give to A.J. Brown because, frankly, when you watch them, because they have the number 1 on, like they look very similar and they are used the same as far as slot and outside. Now, Mingo, there were times where I even saw that joker line up in line literally as a tight end. But I think, to sum it up, big, physical, consistent catching the football, and he's a guy that's going to get you yards after the catch.
What's your take, TD, on this sort of momentum against Will Levis right now? I mean, I know there's some stuff out there about bad interviews. I'm always wary this time of year. I know sometimes that stuff gets floated and it's there's nothing to it. We had Charles Robinson on yesterday talking about, I don't remember this from last year, but apparently like Kayvon Thibodeau grabbed some snacks walking out of a room and some team got pissed about it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like there's some weird stuff that goes on. But what do you think there's anything real there that we could see Levis actually slide significantly?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to slide significantly. I mean, this quarterback class is a pretty solid one, and I think they're all going to be going by pick number 10. Those first 9 picks, I think, frankly, the first 7, I think they'll be gone. So, yeah, I mean, you hear some of the things about him being cocky, and that's the thing. There's a very, very thin line between cocky and confident, and obviously you want your quarterback to be confident. You don't want him to be cocky because you don't want him to be a stumbling block for others on the team. But I think when you look at him, it's just the bottom line. It's the attributes. Like, there's so much upside with him also. Big, physical, huge arm. It's not the same level of potential as Anthony Richardson, but, I mean, there's still a lot to work with. And really what you got to figure out, okay, am I getting the 2021 version or 2022 where we got to continue to work with some things and you have the inconsistencies. I think that's the biggest problem.
TD, great stuff as always. Really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Absolutely. Teron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter and host of Talking with TD, our guest. We'll take your thoughts. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More on the NFL draft and the Titans coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knezvik here for Superbook Sports. Baseball is back. The push for the postseason is on for hockey and hoops, and you got to make it all count this spring with Superbook Sports. We got some Final Four matchups in women's college basketball starting tonight. South Carolina, 11.5-point favorite over Iowa. I think this is going to be a close game. I think Iowa may pull out the upset. So give me Iowa plus the 11.5. And why don't you sprinkle a little money on the money line for Iowa there? We've also got LSU and Virginia Tech on the other side. I'm taking LSU. I think that they will end up in the final round. Can Kim Mulkey do it again? Superbook Sports is the best wagering app around with direct line to experienced bookmakers behind the counter in Las Vegas. Plus, get a $250 bonus when you sign up, deposit, and wager all in the same day. Why don't you take a couple of my picks, and we'll be giving you more picks at 8:30 this morning on Robby and Rexrode. Don't let the spring pass you by without winning some money with Superbook Sports. Visit Superbook Sports for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car.
Did you know trading in your car at a dealer could cost you money? A recent study found consumers who trade in their car pay an average of $990 more. So don't trade in. Sell it to We Buy Any Car. Learn more and get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at We Buy Any Car.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. They sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $15,720. We sell them for $6,900. Their 3.08 carat lab-grown round diamond with G-color VS2 clarity is $10,045. We sell it for $5,900. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah. And like us on Facebook, too. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
On 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join 102.5 The Game and the Preds Energy Team at the Rusty Nail coming up in Hermitage on Monday, April 3rd. For the Preds Row Watch Party as the Preds take on the Dallas Stars. You can enjoy $3 two-lane beer drafts, a great local atmosphere with a large outdoor patio and volleyball courts. Plus, try some of their great food, especially the wings. That's 102.5 The Game and the Preds Energy Team at the Rusty Nail coming up on Monday, April the 3rd. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. We've got weekend winners coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. I'll try to build on a 6-0 week for Robbie Stanley last week. We'll just go ahead and throw that one out there. So, pretty good week last week for yours truly, Joe Rexrode.
That's crazy. This is not hoops is not supposed to be, like your strong suit. This is very demoralizing. And what I go 2-4. You went 2-4.
So we'll see what happens on that front. See if I can keep it going. Coming up next in Weekend Winners. Thanks to TD for being with us in the last segment. What do you make of this idea? We haven't gotten to this yet this week because there's been a lot going on, but this idea of potentially the NFL flexing Thursday night football games to get better matchups. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's garbage. And I understand. I totally blame Russell Wilson and the Broncos.
Yes. And, I will add one more team. Russell Wilson and the Broncos and Matt Ryan and the freaking Colts. Those are the two teams I blame.
Yeah. And they had one together. One of those games was it was a beauty of a game. I understand, you look at these matchups and you think what this team or that team is going to be, and all it takes is the Ravens were actually somehow they got in the playoffs and were competitive in a playoff game, but the Ravens would have been something totally different last year if Lamar Jackson was healthy the whole year, whatever it is. But flexing Thursday, like TD said, for one thing, fans now, I think fans more travel for weekend games. I'm more worried about the player aspect of it, but you're still disrupting fans and certainly for players. I think when teams get their schedule every year, it's like you have to prepare yourself for that week. That week is brutal for everybody involved, in particular the guys who are having to play a game when all of the bruises from Sunday still haven't healed yet, and I understand there's a bigger break after that, but it should just be, look, the players agreed, the CBA, or the Thursday night game, and everybody should have a game, and that could just stay that way. And flexing TV matchups later on Sundays and all that makes sense. I like that system. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. It might be a day difference, might be just prime time, noon, go to prime time, whatever it is. That's fine. As randomly in season flexing Thursdays to me is a terrible idea. I'll be very interested to see how much time they need. College football basically is on a 12-day window. So, but that's just okay. Are you with the noon, the 3:30, or the night game?
Right.
It's the same day. If you're gonna flex these things, to me, you gotta give like a month. But I have my doubts about whether they will.
This is a classic example.
And if you do a month. Sorry, if you do a month, in that month things could change enough to where you regret that move.
Yeah, for sure. Like this is a classic example of overthinking things, and to what you brought up in the last segment of TV controlling what's going on here with Amazon and everything going on Thursday night. And I get it. These people are paying big money for the product. I understand it, but they cannot control every aspect of your league. I mean, you just can't allow that to happen if you're Roger Goodell in the NFL.
Exactly. I'm sorry, but look, the bottom line is you're the NFL and you have a product that is incredibly valuable, and there's another bidder out there, the next round who will be like, yeah, we're fine. We'll take whatever. Yeah. I mean, I understand there was, I'm sure, some whining on that end because of some of the crappy games this year. But I also think, again, last year was more severe because of you have a couple teams that are so different from what they're supposed to be. That's not always going to be the case every year.
Joe, a former Titan third-round pick, potentially on the move within the division in Indianapolis. Jeremy Fowler putting this out just a few minutes ago that free agent running back Darrington Evans is working out for the Indianapolis Colts today. Former third-round pick had 14 carries and 64 yards with Chicago last season. So Darrington Evans working out with the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, I'm impressed that he's hanging on the league at this point, given the lack of production and preponderance of injuries. But yeah, maybe he'll come back and with Levis and Darrington Levitt on third downs.
Yeah,
watch out, Titans.
Got to really watch out on that front. The pro days taking place yesterday. We talked about that earlier in the show. Joe, Tennessee had their pro day yesterday. Mike Vrabel was in attendance for that. There's some nice still shots of Mike Vrabel and Josh Heupel speaking together, including some Titans fan page I saw on Facebook that photoshopped it in there of Heupel explaining to Vrabel, so Mike, this is what we call a passing play. That was pretty funny on Facebook that I saw this morning. But Darnell Wright participating yesterday. Hendon Hooker addressing the media yesterday says he's on track to be available by training camp and that his recovery from his torn ACL is still ahead of schedule. And Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt participating yesterday as well. And we've had a conversation about the Hyatt part of this and where he's going to end up going in the draft. Tillman, to me, remains pretty interesting because people forget he was their best receiver before he got hurt, and then he got hurt and could never really get healthy last year, and Jalen Hyatt won the Biletnikoff. So, obviously Hyatt was the main focus to end the year, but if Tillman never gets hurt last year, I do wonder what that production looks like.
Yeah, well, it's huge. It's huge, and obviously, yeah, Hyatt became they found something with Hyatt on the vertical routes and the switch releases and everything, and he was just blowing by people. But Tillman and Hooker had such a connection. It would have looked different, and it would have been a lot more footballs thrown Tillman's way. So he is a guy who I think, in fact, I might pick Tillman over Hyatt if it's either or, and you're early in the second round. I might pick Tillman over Hyatt. I might, because I just feel like the physicality, the route running are both things that you have with him. Not as much speed, but if he's running a 4.5, 4.54, oh, that's
at that
fine.
Size.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Michelle sent us another. So Bruce Feldman's got a mock. I like when he does this. He does a mock with some intel and comments on the players. I will report, without giving too much away, that there's nothing about Will Levis, being an interview issue or whatever,
That's
personality stuff. But there is. Did you see who he has taking Levis?
No, I didn't.
Dun, 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 dun.
How about the Titans moving up to 20?
Oh, God.
To take Levis? What would you think about that?
Well, also using their 11, and then I think it was with the Seahawks moving up to 20.
Well, he still has them taken, right, at 11. He has them taken, Smith and Jigba at 11. So moving up must be trading their second and whatever else to move up to 20 to get Will Levis. What do you think? Levis to Jack Smith and Jigba, the new Titans downfield duo. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting day on this program if that's the way they want to go. I'll put it that way.
Oh gosh, I'm signing up for it.
But even Feldman's got him falling all the way down to 20.
Yeah, it's interesting. And one point made, and the comments on Stroud and Young are both off the charts. The comments on Richardson, this is kind of how I feel about it too. Like, if I'm gonna take a flyer, again, I'm putting Hooker in next after Young and Stroud. Okay, if I'm gonna take a flyer on one of those two guys, Levis or Richardson, I'm gonna take it on Richardson. I just feel like, the ceiling's higher, and there's still questions with both, somewhat similar questions with both players. So. It does appear that he may be that guy, but we'll say all this and he'll go 4 to Indy.
Yes. Then Will Levis will be in your division for the next few years to come. And then Chris Ballard will be fired.
Will Levis is in the category now with Jeff Swaim and Cole Smith.
Is he?
Yeah, everyone just is hating hard.
That's because he's not very good.
I don't know, but I think that category has to be specific to current Nashville athletes. Now, if they get him, I think you're right. It'd be like the opposite of Mariota. Everybody just love Mariota no matter what happened, and Levis might be having an uphill battle with the fans.
Can you imagine though, Levis throwing that throwback tight end screen to Jeff Swaim? Oh my God, it's pretty to even think about.
True, man. I'm trying to think like that. Who else could be involved in the play?
Well, you get Cody Hollister back in there. He's still a free agent.
Cody Hollister. Yeah, Cody Hollister blocking on the play.
Julio.
I was gonna say you can't have Dennis Daly, unfortunately, because he's been locked up. But
go get Julio
I don't
back.
know. Yeah, just Julio and Hollister blocking for Swaim with Levis throwing the ball. Get out of the way.
Going up next, it's time for Weekend Winners here on Robby and Rexrode. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
I think it's a really good move.
TD, it's never the offseason for ESPN's Teron Davenport.
That's something you obviously have to look at.
He's always talking about what's next for the Tennessee Titans.
Quarterback is a really important thing that they have to get determined.
Check out TD, Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, and Friday mornings at 8:30. Plus, the Talkin' with TD podcast.
Looking forward to that.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Grand slams, no-hitters, and double plays are back, folks. So there's no better place to get on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Joe Rexrode here letting you know that right now new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Joe102, sign up, place that first bet, and you'll get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win the bet. Now, you may have noticed that I called Aaron Judge home run on opening day. Ding, ding, ding. Let's see. You can do so many different things, of course. Long-term bet. How about, let me go out on a limb here. Dodgers winning it all, okay? Don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Joe102. FanDuel is an official partner of Major League Baseball, and you must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online minimum wager, only $10 deposit required. Refund issued is now eligible. Bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Jared for Hiller. Sometimes replacing equipment in your home can be overlooked until something breaks, but there's actually big problems that can come from outdated old vintage HVAC systems. Older systems require more maintenance and results in higher utility bills. This month during Hiller's Vintage Showdown, they're giving away a free HVAC system to the owner of the oldest unit. It's easy to enter. Just go online to happyhiller.com and submit a picture of your old unit. Everybody wins with a trade-in credit and 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on replacement. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Sometimes the best part of the day is when the day is done. The Rusty Nail in Hermitage has been the best part of the day for many since their doors opened. They provide a great local atmosphere with a big back patio and volleyball courts, plus great drinks like $3 two-lane beer drafts and great food, especially the wings. Call now to reserve your private events or corporate parties, or simply call up a few old pals and tell them to meet you down at the Rusty Nail. See you there. Cheers. Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Hendersonville Medical Clinic offers world-class orthopedic care. The doctors at this location specialize in hand, knee, shoulder, hip, foot, ankle, and spine, and general orthopedics. They accept walk-in and same-day appointments. Get back to enjoying life. Schedule your appointment online at tn.houston.com or just walk in to Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Hendersonville Medical Clinic. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
When you want live and local.
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years? The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's time to pick some winners. We hope. Robby and Rexrode have weekend winners for you now
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the week, time for weekend winners here on Robby and Rexrode. Lots of things going on this weekend. Some Final Four action on the men's and women's side. Preds back in action tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena as well. Nashville SC in action. Lots of things on the table. A quick standings update in the competition. Michelle Knezovic 4-2 last week with her lock, so back-to-back 4-2 weeks for Michelle to kick things off here in the competition. Joe Rexrode, after going 4-2 the week before, 2-4 this week on the program. And as we mentioned last segment, Robbie Stanley, 6-0 last week with his lock. Which brings the standings to this. Michelle Knezovic still in first, 8-4, 2-0 on her locks, good for 10 points. I am also 8-4, 1-1 on my locks, good for 9 points. And Joe Rexrode in third, 6-6, 0-2 on his locks, good for 6 points. Michelle Knezovic, let's kick things off. Let's begin with action tonight. Iowa and South Carolina. South Carolina is favored by 11.5 in this matchup. Your selection between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the South Carolina Gamecocks tonight in the women's Final Four. South Carolina favored by 11.5.
Well, Dawn Staley has a phenomenal record in covering the spread, and I usually take her up on that, but I think Caitlin Clark is special. Iowa's on a special run right now. I called the shot that they would win, but they're definitely going to cover this 11.5, so give me Iowa plus the 11.5.
So going with Iowa plus the 11.5. I said it earlier. I'm going with South Carolina. I think it's a good game, and I think South Carolina pulls away late. So I'll go South Carolina minus the 11.5. Joe Rexrode, Iowa and South Carolina tonight in the women's Final Four. South Carolina favored by 11.5.
Iowa lock.
Ooh, locking down.
Caitlin Clark to the natty.
Going for the plus 11.5 and the upset tonight. Joe Rexrode selecting Iowa to take down South Carolina in the women's Final Four. A bold prediction, and I like it here on the program. We move to tomorrow, the Nashville Predators at home in a home matinee at Bridgestone Arena, taking on the St. Louis Blues, the only team remaining on their schedule, as we talked about earlier, that is not currently in the playoff picture. I'll start us off on this one. It's a Preds-Blues puck line. I will take the Preds. I think UC Saros is totally locked in right now, and he's been awesome the last 2 games. I think they're going to play him again tomorrow, and I think he plays really well. And I think the Predators muster up just enough offense to take down St. Louis. So I will go with go with the Preds to take down St. Louis tomorrow. Joe Rexrode, the Preds and the Blues tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, it was premature in recent days, kind of saying, okay, that's about it. I think if the Preds lose to the Blues tomorrow, I think it's pretty close to being able to say, yeah, it's about it. And it'd be too bad if this team can't get to those games at Winnipeg and Calgary with those games meaning something. You know, what? Just for the experience alone for some of the young guys, I think they do get it done tomorrow. Give me the Preds.
Michelle Knesvik, the Preds and the Blues on the puck line tomorrow.
Looks like we're doing a clean sweep. I've got the Preds as well. I think they have a bounce-back game here in Nashville, and I'm taking the Preds on the puck line.
So all of us going with the Preds. We move to
Blues big,
yes,
everybody.
Yes, we move to the men's Final Four. The first game tomorrow, FAU taking on San Diego State. San Diego State favored by 2.5 in this one. Joe Rexrode, kick us off. FAU and San Diego State.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. As I said, my call your shot. I mean, I think this is going to be like, this game is going to be like, in fact, I'll give you a score. It's going to be San Diego State 51, FAU 48, which is a combined score of 99, and also means San Diego State covers by a half point. Give me San Diego State, the slimmest of margins.
So going San Diego State in the competition. Michelle Knesvik, San Diego State and FAU. San Diego State favored by 2.5.
Yeah, same thing for me. I'm going San Diego State minus the 2.5. I think they get it done. Heavy defensive performance from them. I think the Owls' journey ends in the Final Four.
Everybody's sleeping on my beloved FAU Owls. Give me FAU plus the 2.5, and give me FAU to win this game outright against San Diego State coming up tomorrow in the Final Four. We move to the nightcap tomorrow night. Miami taking on UConn. UConn has been rolling in this tournament, and they are favored by 5.5 in this matchup. Michelle Knesvik, UConn and Miami.
Okay, I feel very confident in this one. I'm taking Miami plus the 5. You said 5.5, right?
Correct.
Plus 5.5. I think they have phenomenal guard play, and I think their guards are better than UConn's. UConn's got, some bigger pieces in the paint, but I love Miami's guard play right now. So I'm taking Miami plus the 5.5, and I also think that they could pull out a win in this one.
I'm going to go with UConn in this matchup. I just think they're on an absolute roll right now, and I think that roll continues tomorrow against Miami. I think it's going to be a great game, but I would take UConn by about six or 7 in this game. So I'll go UConn minus the 5.5. Joe Rexrode, UConn and Miami tomorrow in the nightcap in the Final Four.
I don't love the 5.5. I wish it was about 3.5. But I do think it'll be some free throws late. It'll be a very good game. It'll be closer than that, but I think some free throws late will deliver the margin, so give me UConn.
So going with UConn minus the 5.5. We move to the individual portion of the program. 2 individual selections coming up today for all 3 of us. I'll kick us off. Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder minus the 2.5 in a matchup that everyone's looking forward to between Oklahoma City and the Indiana Pacers coming up tonight in the NBA. I will take the Oklahoma City Thunder minus the 2.5. Joe Rexrode, your first individual selection.
Well, I'll go NBA 2. Spurs Warriors. Warriors at home minus 16.5. The Warriors, of course, have been dominant at home. They've been terrible on the road. And the Spurs are bad, but the Warriors are a little wobbly right now. So I actually think the Spurs will cover and lose by about 10, 12 points. So give me the Spurs in the 16.5.
So going with the Spurs plus the 16.5 on the road against Golden State. Michelle Knesvik, your first individual selection.
I'm going to stick with women's hoops. The first game tonight for the Final Four, LSU and Virginia Tech. LSU a 1.5-point favorite. Kim Mulkey's been in this situation before. This team's been rolling all year long. I think LSU will advance, and I think they'll also cover that 1.5-point spread. So give me LSU minus 1.5.
So going LSU minus 1.5 against Virginia Tech. Michelle, just go ahead and kick us off with your second individual selection.
Okay, second individual selection, we got the Utah Jazz at the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics are a 13.5-point favorite. I know that they are one of the best teams in the NBA right now, but I'm going to take the Jazz plus the 13.5. I think the Celtics win by about 10.
So Jazz plus 13.5 against Boston. Joe Rexrode, your second individual selection.
Well, I'm going to go with the other semifinal tonight, and I'm going to go the other way. It's Caitlin Clark against Georgia Amore for the Natty on Monday. The Hokies get it done outright tonight. And Kim Mulkey in the rabbit footy pajamas with a cowboy hat and I don't know what else. some other accessory that we can't possibly predict, we'll have to head home.
So going with Virginia Tech plus the 1.5. Not only plus the 1.5, but to win outright. But you will get credit if they are plus the 1.5. So there's the selection by Joe Rexrode on that front. I'm going to go in the NHL tonight. The New York Rangers against the Buffalo Sabres. The Rangers have figured things out, seemingly, and they have heated up. So give me the Rangers minus 1.5 against the Sabres. I think they will go into Buffalo, and they will trounce the Buffalo Sabres tonight. So I will go the New York Rangers minus the 1.5 against Buffalo. These have been our selections here in Weekend Winners here on the program. Do we think any of us go 6-0 again? Can I follow it up again going 6-0 2 weeks in a row? What do you think?
Ooh. I also think I forgot to say my lock.
I think I forgot to say my lock, too. I'll go Rangers.
That's
my
fine.
lock.
You guys can go lockless.
I'll do LSU.
Let me catch up.
LSU will be my lock over Virginia Tech.
I do like there's a lot of head-to-heads this week in the competition, so looking forward to that. Nice head-to-head tonight between you two with LSU and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, but we're all on the same team wondering what the hell Kilmalky might wear.
Well, yes, we are. No question about that. This has been Weekend Winners. You can check it out every Friday at 8:30 here on the program. A very busy weekend in sports. We'll take your predictions as well on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll continue to look ahead at this weekend in sports. We'll get back into the Preds and their loss last night against Pittsburgh as well, and where that leaves them heading into this weekend. That is coming up next. It is your last chance to sign up and play the official 4-team Game Bracket Challenge, brought to you by Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and the Bluffs at Rocky Ridge. You can enjoy the biggest and best views in the Nashville area from your dream acreage home site. Call now at 866-GET-LAND. You can go to theGameNashville.com/bracket challenge or the Game Nashville app and pick your teams for a chance to win tickets to see Luke Combs coming up at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, April 15th. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robby and Rexrode for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Preds fans, Superbook wants to send one lucky fan a pair of tickets on the ice. Text the keyword Superbook, all one word, to 615-737-1025 for entry to win.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback and member of the Tennessee Titans Ring of Honor and Pro Football Hall of Fame. On the field, I always wore a helmet and pads to make sure I was protected. Life is no different. That's why I got vaccinated and boosted against COVID-19. Protection keeps you in the game. Talk to your doctor and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself and your family against COVID-19 today.
For more information, go to nflagearup.org/Tennessee.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
The college basketball season is heating up, which means it's time for the Wendy's Wooden Watch. You see, in 2002, I was honored to have received the John R. Wooden Player of the Year Award, which is presented to the country's most outstanding men's and women's player, who is also making progress towards earning a degree. This year, players like Drew Timme, Armando Bacot, Aaliyah Boston, and Caitlin Clark are vying for the trophy. So who will take it home? The 2023 John R. Wooden Men's and Women's Player of the Year is presented by Wendy's.
Wendy's 2 for $6 lets you mix and match some of our best items, like Dave Single with a 10-piece crispy nugs, medium strawberry lemonade with a spicy chicken sandwich, spicy chicken with a Dave Single with a strawberry lemonade, strawberry lemonade, if you're into that. Chicken Sam, crispy nugs, strawberry lemonade, Dave's, nugs, Sam. Whew. Pick what you want at a price you want. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's 2 for $6. For a limited time, price participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's. On the card only. Single item at regular price.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junnie Riddle for Michelle and Junnie.
As long as he wants to coach there, he will be able to coach there.
I think that really did save the hope of this team.
Michelle and Junnie, presented by Superbook Sports, every Saturday morning at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Friday morning. Streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Joe, the Nashville Predators fall last night 2-0 at the hands of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I would describe it as for about the first, 27, 28, 29 minutes of the game, I thought it was fairly even. It was back and forth. Really, the best chances that Pittsburgh got against the Predators early in the game came shorthanded on the Predators' power play, and Saros made a couple of big saves there. And then about halfway through the game, the ice started to tilt, and Pittsburgh was generating chance after chance after chance, and ultimately Saros was excellent in the game last night, but he can't do it by himself, and Pittsburgh scores 2 goals. Predators can't capitalize on a few chances that they get offensively. They didn't sustain a ton of zone time as that game went on, but Tomasino had a breakaway. Tommy Novak had an open net that he missed. Just a couple of missed opportunities for the Predators last night, and they fall 2-0. So an opportunity gone by the wayside last night for the Predators. If you won that game, you would have been 1 point back of the Winnipeg Jets heading into game play tonight. The Jets are playing tonight against Detroit. Detroit played last night. They beat Carolina on basically a buzzer beater with 3 seconds left last night. So back-to-back for Detroit tonight. They'll take on Winnipeg on the road. But Preds still 3 points back of the Jets now with just 1 game in hand on Winnipeg as well. So it was an inspiring effort against Boston. I thought they played hard again last night, but they just couldn't get anything going offensively.
And there's just such pressure in those scarce opportunities you create to finish.
Yep.
You just have to finish when you get an opportunity. So it's going to be Saros and 2-1 wins, 1-0 wins, whatever, if they're going to make any kind of run here down the stretch. But, on a given night, anything can happen. I mean, the Preds could erupt for 4 goals against the mighty Blues tomorrow. But for the most part, they're going to have to play that tight game. They're going to have Saros be great. And then when you get those opportunities, you got to bury them.
No question. Luke Evangelista had a nice chance last night in front of the net that he couldn't quite finish there as well. Roman Josi did not play, so we wondered about that heading into the game last night. Would he play? He did skate yesterday morning, according to reports, but did not play. So, I guess there's a chance he could play tomorrow against St. Louis. He was on the trip. It would be nice to get him back tomorrow against the Blues.
Yeah, that'd be a big boost, and it would seem to be realistic. Like, I don't know why. I guess, you got leadership on the trip, but obviously close enough. If they had no thought at all that he might be able to play last night, he wouldn't have been on that trip. So it's got to be close.
Got to be close, and we'll see if the Predators can win. I agree with what you said last segment. Like, they got to win tomorrow. Like, if they're gonna keep themselves in this, they got to win tomorrow against St. Louis. Next week is brutal. They're on the road at Dallas on Monday, back-to-back coming back here to Nashville against Vegas Tuesday. Here in Nashville Thursday against Carolina. And I know Carolina lost Svechnikov. They're still pretty darn good without Svechnikov. And then on the road Saturday against Winnipeg. That's a heck of a week next week for the Predators, and you got to win tomorrow.
Yeah, to me it's like, can you get to can you get to next Saturday? Can you get to a week from tomorrow and still be in it and have a huge game to play at Winnipeg? And I think it would be a great, again, no matter what way it goes from there, I think it would be a great experience thing for a lot of these young guys to have a game like that on the road. And it will not be easy to earn that, but you've got to scrounge together some points in this next stretch. You got to get the 2 tomorrow.
Joe, I hope we get some good games in the Final Four this weekend. We've talked about the TV part of this and whether or not people are deep down actually excited to watch FAU and San Diego State play and UConn and Miami play and what those ratings are going to look like. I don't know. My guess is they're probably not going to be very good in terms of just relation of what they normally are, but it'd be great to have a couple of great games to help that and to just have great games to watch. I will be watching, so if I can watch, people can watch the matchups between FAU and San Diego State and UConn and Miami. I hope we get 2 good ones coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited for them. I get it. I think that the very casual fan who might be like, oh, Duke, Carolina, well, sure, and otherwise might not turn on the TV, they're not going to be compelled to do it by FAU San Diego State. But, yeah, it's like if you've watched this tournament, you got to respect those teams. This is not just smoke and mirrors. I mean, they've earned their way here. So I agree. I think that the ratings will probably be underwhelming compared to, we're seeing it with ticket prices. Look, I actually want FAU to win it all just 'cause I really like hanging out in downtown Boca Raton. It's a nice little community. I'm trying to imagine like a NCAA championship parade in downtown Boca Raton, Who
wouldn't want to be there?
Yeah, it's a great city, but the fan base is not big. It's they've talked about it. You look at their gym. It really is like they got the bleachers. That's a high school gym where you got the bleachers. You pull the bleachers out.
Somebody told me that the gymnastics team practices in there in the middle of games, like on the other side of the gym. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I was told.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's incredible. It's also kind of amazing that Dusty May is at this point. I think some of it is just right now. There's not a job that would get him out of there, but he's gonna have a chance to get a bigger job now from this, but it'll probably be a year from now. The only problem with that is now if you go, 16 and 15 next year, the momentum slows down a little bit, but it's a little bit surprising to me that he has, at least at this point, signed an extension, I believe, and it's not happening.
Looking ready to win the Natty. Where's he going?
Well, but after this,
okay.
Yeah, I'm saying like he's basically taking him out of the pool for a job. Now I've seen that happen before, and then that's still, if a domino falls where it's like an incredible job, then you change your mind, and the buyout is what it is. But
man, you're living in South Florida. You're about to start a dynasty down there with the Owls. Grass isn't always greener on the other side, Rexrode.
That is fair. And by the way, Conference USA, could be playing for the Natty. Conference USA. 2 teams playing for the NIT championship. Actually, wait, did they play? They play last night? It's Vanderbilt? Yeah. Okay, so there you go. So you had Conference USA, both sides of the championship for the NIT, and potentially one side for the NCAA championship. How about Conference USA?
Conference USA basketball, you better stand up and take notice out there. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to tonight. I'm very excited to watch Caitlin Clark in Iowa tonight take on South Carolina and see if they can make it a game. Look, Vegas would tell you they don't really think it's going to be one. It's a double-digit line. So it's 11.5-point line that Vegas has thrown out there. Caitlin Clark is must-see TV, and this is a highly anticipated matchup. I'm looking forward to it tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm excited about both of them. I think Virginia Tech LSU is going to be really good too. Look, the women's Final Four has more just star power, and you've got the kind of dynasty in progress that we're seeing with South Carolina, the best coach in the game, and Dawn Staley. So you got everything you would ever want in that Final Four.
Gino's going to be real mad at you for calling her the best coach in the game.
I think Joe will take that any day.
I'm just saying that Gino's going to be mad. I'm not saying I disagree with him.
It's kind of like Charles was talking about with Belichick yesterday. Just because you were something at one point does not mean that you are eternally that. So, sorry, Gino. Who would you hire right now? And just for let's say to be your coach for the next 5 years, Dawn Staley or Gino Auriemma?
Dawn Staley. It's not close.
There you go. Done.
Now he's mad at both of us. Be good stuff. By the way, what a game last night between Tennessee and LSU on the baseball front. I watched some of that last night. Tennessee kind of kicked the ball around at the end of the game there, but heavy weekend series this weekend with Tennessee and LSU. LSU, the number 1 team in America at the moment.
Yeah, and Tennessee, rough going there against Missouri, but got it back together last weekend. Texas A&M with a big sweep, so they're going to be fine. It's ridiculous, this league. I mean, it really is. I know we say it every year, but it's like it's like college football recruiting rankings, and then baseball rankings. It's like it's hard to get anyone but an SEC team in there.
Vanderbilt has a weekend series against Georgia at Hawkins Field coming up this weekend as well, so they'll begin that tonight. First pitch is at 4:30 for Vanderbilt a little bit later today. So Vanderbilt and Tennessee in action this weekend on the baseball front as well. Joe, looking forward to the Final Four this weekend. It's going to be fun. We'll see you coming up on Monday.
Yep, can't wait. Everybody tune in, and let's hope Robby doesn't go 6-0 again.
Yeah, we'll see what happens on that front. That does it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend out there. Chase and Michelle is up next. This is 102.5.